dickhead.
Hello and welcome to yet another episode of the Grumpy Old Man Wrestling Podcast. Rick Crab here, and joining me as always, the cult of multiple personalities, CF punk-ass Chris Filito.
Hello!
Well, before we get to the news in the wide world of wrestling, not sports entertainment, but wrestling, I have an exclusive.
Oh?
Apparently, MJF and Chris Jericho's feud isn't over.
Oh?
He added another stipulation, another labor of Jericho. He actually booked Jericho and Fozzy to play in Baltimore right before we recorded this episode. And that was a good time. It was a really good show. And
I saw them when he first started this band. What was it, the late 90s?
yeah, I think
When
it
they
was,
just did that from the covers. And
Right.
he was phenomenal. And I actually sat down and talked to him, and we talked music. We didn't talk wrestling.
and it was the members of Stuck Mojo.
Yes.
Right? Yeah, okay, so, yeah.
Well, you weren't cover first with this.
Well, we can do that. Yeah, let's do that, because, we're going to be doing plenty of dogpiling on Mr. Burns, so why don't you bring that story
This is
up?
one of 3 things I'm pissed off about that old fucker now.
Okay.
We have a list of words that per Vince McMahon himself said you cannot say on television. Blood, choke, belt, strap, diva, headshot, well, Baltimore,
Yeah.
trauma, kayfabe, mofos, house show. This one just confuses me. DQ. You can't say the word DQ. Anti-diva, which was Paige, which makes me think she's on her way out now.
Right.
Spinal injuries, victim, violence, violent, wrestling, wrestlers. I want you're on this one. WWE.
It makes no WW sense.
No, wife beater. He was a CZW guy.
Well, I think he meant more the shirt. He probably never saw
Okay.
it.
Curb stomp, the move only referred to as the stomp. Phrases that include the word push and over, babyface and heel, which they never even said on television, job or jobber, card, strangle, kill, murder. In addition, the following of a few likely banned terms are omitted from the list is fans, concussion, and hospital. Now, what's your take?
Well, a lot of those, he's had hospital for a while. I mean,
Medical facility.
Yeah, it's been a long time running joke. One that I didn't... See, go to that list again. It was like the second word, I think.
Oh, okay. Hold on. Let me bring it
It
back
didn't
up.
make sense to me.
Let me bring it back up. Hold on. The second word is choke.
No. Okay, start from the beginning.
Blood, choke, belt.
Okay, blood. That's what it was. Okay. Especially since he...
Busted open. You can say busted open.
Well, I mean, blood, it makes me wonder if it's a copyright thing because he coined the term blood and guts. And now that's what AEW uses to call their version of War Games. I'm probably reading too much into
You're probably
that,
reading too much in it. But some of these, like, you can't say DQ.
Yeah.
You can't say DQ. You can't say... You work for WWE. You can't say WWE.
And you can't say wrestling, even though
Or
that's
wrestlers.
supposedly one of the initials in WWE. Okay.
Remember, you said it yourself. He wants to be the next Walt Disney.
Yeah.
Well, who is it?
He's more like Scrooge McDuck, but anyway.
Mark from the old Mark Lopez morning show here on 98 Rock once said Vince McMahon's the our new PT Barnum.
Yeah.
I believe it. Now, after reading this blows my mind. I mean, this totally blows my fucking mind. Oh my God, Jesus Christ.
I'll tell you the truth. Both the WWE and at one time Ringling Brothers Barnum Bailey Circus were booked at the local arena here. It's now called the
Chicken Box.
Yeah, the Royal Farms Arena.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that a lot of people liked about the circus was people got to see the circus would come on a train and basically pull up to, or pull near the arena. I don't think they could actually pull up to the arena, but basically a lot of folks like to watch them feed the animals.
Okay.
And it wasn't just, oh, that's so cute, they're feeding the giraffes and the lions.
When the elephants came through town.
When the elephants came through town, they basically crapped out what are now scripts for Raw and SmackDown.
Yeah.
You know, it's, I mean, about the size of Mark Henry, more or less. But, you know, yeah.
But it's the old man being the old man. This is the other one that just caught my eyes. Kenny King reveals that MVP wanted him to join the Hurt Business. Why? Why leave Ring of Honor and go where you're going to get buried?
Well, when we talk about AEW, I'll maybe discuss what it was revealed, what the plans that they had to keep Adam.
That's.
Okay. Alright. Putting on the wrist. No,
yeah. Have you heard about Kevin Owens?
Now he wants to be all elite, yeah.
As previously reported here, it's been reported on the sites, Kevin Owens' contract with the WWE is set to expire January 31st, 2022. This was initially reported by The Observer and confirmed by Sean Ross Sapp. Originally, Owens' contract with the company was set to expire in 2023 after signing a 5-year deal in 2018. However, the company restructured several contracts ahead of COVID-19 pandemic, which explains the change in the length of the contract. Do you think he hasn't resigned? And he's already putting like Mount Rushmore shit on his Instagram.
Yeah.
You know about that, right?
Oh yeah.
And what was his faction called in Pro Wrestling Guerrilla? Mount Rushmore Wrestling was him, Bucks, and Cole.
Oh, jeez. We don't need anybody else joining the fucking Bucks. Come on, man. It's probably what they will do, but...
Baby.
Yeah.
But, we can jump right into Adam Cole right now if you want.
Yes. Apparently it was revealed that WWE was trying to court Adam Cole and trying to renegotiate his contract. And then they told him what his plans were for the main roster. They wanted to change his name. They wanted him to be a manager who basically did not want him to wrestle, but just wanted him to be a manager. And basically, he was being compared to Leo Rush, how he was.
Yeah, hype man. Yeah, for who?
Lashley.
No. Who Cole was supposed to be?
Oh, yeah, for. Keith Lee.
The turn heel Keith Lee.
Right.
He can actually talk. He doesn't need a mouthpiece.
I mean, I've heard Jim Cornette compare him to, like, Professor Hulk in the Marvel movies. To me, he reminds me more of Hank McCoy in the X-Men.
Yes, he's very educated. He's an educated man. He can speak eloquently.
Right.
But apparently, because he's big men must be dumb, can't talk.
And they're going to change his character altogether.
And change his name because there's already a Cole. Michael Cole's there. They don't want to confuse him.
God, yeah. Michael Cole sounds like he's confused, but anyway.
Michael Cole's been there enough to be confused. But I'm glad he left. I'm glad he left because we're going to see the upcoming Dynamite. We're going to see him against Kazarian, which is probably going to tear that fucking house down.
Well, not only that, but I mean, if you were in his situation, what would you do? It's like, okay, well, they're sending a lot of my friends already, and the ones that they are keeping, they're giving them stupid ideas. They just pitched a stupid idea. I could stay here and be miserable.
And make a lot of money.
Or I could go somewhere else and make a lot of money, be with my girlfriend, be with old friends of mine, and actually be allowed to wrestle, allowed to cut promos, and allowed to basically be me.
Going back to
Baby.
Going back to the All Out when Kenny Omega said something about dead. It didn't hit me till later because they declared Adam Cole dead when he left Ring of Honor to go to WWE.
Right.
And did you read the Young Bucks bio on Twitter? They say they resurrect the dead. They're doing things just to piss off. They keep on changing their bio on Twitter almost every day just to piss off the marks.
Yeah, well.
Which is fucking hilarious, I think.
Right.
But, what's the matter? We couldn't have story time with Adam Cole, baby?
Well, one Mr. Tony Schiavone's probably glad he could have story time.
Oh, I saw that. When he came down on Cole about, if you look right, what's this? I kick you in the face and I'll whoop your ass.
Yeah, if you look at my girlfriend the wrong way, whatever. I mean...
Yes, I know Tony doesn't believe in mixed tags, but I can see a mixed tag coming up. And since these doors are not forbidden anymore, I can see maybe Cardona and Chelsea coming.
Okay.
So, how would you like to see that? Britt Baker and Cole versus Cardona and Chelsea Green.
I've seen it already, though. The whole reason to bring these people over is not to see, CM Punk versus Bryan Danielson again.
Or
you want
Jericho.
Right. Or Christian against,
yeah.
Mark Henry or whatever. You want to see them against the dream matches. The ones where you would take your video games and you would make AEW or Ring of Honor or New Japan wrestlers on WWE so they can fight.
Yeah. It makes you think about when the new game comes out in 2022, and how, I know it's the game people who are making this game, not Vince, but you know he's got to give them edicts of what not to. You can't use this, this, and this.
Right.
And people are going to do creative characters and do this, this, and this. It's going to drive Vince crazy.
Well, yeah, and that's what they all have been doing. I actually watched a video today where somebody actually dated it for the date where the Fiend's supposed to come to AEW. And
I got news on that.
what was interesting about it, how they did it, and I've seen them do this with other companies. I've seen them do this with NWA Power. I've seen them do... Apparently they can make the backdrops look like other companies. They can put AEW logos on the Titantron.
Make it look like Dynamite or Rampage?
It looked just like Dynamite. They even had the covers over the guardrails. They had the TNT on and words on the turnbuckles and everything.
No shit.
The only thing that was WWE about it is they had electronic signs at the top of the arena, and you still had Michael Cole and Corey Graves talking about it. But what they did, it was interesting. They had started off, it was a match between Malachi Black and Cody Rhodes, and then
yes,
with Malachi Black winning, and then all of a sudden they turn the lights out and the Fiend comes with the old and then you wound up having a match in the video game. It was kind of cool, but I don't know.
But you mentioned the Fiend, you mentioned Bray Wyatt. There was a rumor that popped up. I read just recently online about maybe his no-compete clause will end a little bit early, maybe at the end of September he'll show up somewhere.
Yeah.
Do you think leader of the Dark Order? That's what everybody's pointing to.
Maybe. Or,
this is because him and Brody were real close.
You know how they can make him really heel?
Mm-hmm.
His name is Wyndham Rotunda, right?
Yeah.
Make him kind of like the Firefly Bray Wyatt, but make him kind of like an American Hulk Hogan type. Call him American Express. And then just do it to piss people off.
And just come in like his grandfather used to?
I guess.
Remember who his grandfather was?
Yeah.
Yeah, me and you both remember Blackjack Mulligan.
Mm-hmm. Chances are he's going to probably try to come as close to being the Fiend as possible.
Just traditional Bray Wyatt, just to be like the swamp cult leader.
I don't want that guy. I
actually like that guy.
I don't. I like him better as the Fiend, not so much because of the Fiend, but I like the multiple personality, the alter ego kind of thing,
With the hurt and heel gloves?
Yeah.
That we're getting now with Alexa?
Oh, Jesus.
We'll get to that later.
Yeah.
The other thing I want to cover is the Mick Foley video.
Yeah.
You saw the video? I saw the video. It was titled, WWE, We Have a Problem.
Yep.
I didn't disagree with this video. You didn't disagree with this video. And apparently he made it to Mount Olympus to Zeus himself.
Right.
And he is pissed.
Well, fuck Mr. Burns, because he's giving constructive criticism of your product.
Because in tradition, the legends are not supposed to make fun of your former employer. He's not making fun of your former employee. He's telling the fucking truth.
True, but, I mean, I don't know, it's weird because a week before that, Booker T kind of like chastised CM Punk for his promos, basically saying that was disrespectful to WWE, but
he didn't mention him.
Not the actual word, he referenced them,
yeah.
per se. But with this thing with Foley, Booker T backed him up. He agreed with him. Booker
T and a couple of other people, from what I understand, too.
Right.
And from where at Titan Tower, Vince was man enough to throw furniture. I hate this. Sound like a certain British guy, but Mick Foley to AEW confirm.
Pretty much, sounds like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, in fact, one of them even joked about that on that scene, a channel you just referenced.
Yeah, I was like, well, the thing is, didn't Mick Foley give props to that Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker match?
Yeah. Oh,
I can see him coming there. I can see him showing up. He's been in Impact.
Right.
He come back there, you know? He can't walk around too much because he's a roly-poly shit now. So.
Right. Well, no, but he's had a lot of injuries. So,
yeah, I read his book. Everything caught up to him.
Yeah, and you're going to have that with a lot of wrestlers. A lot of the original ECW guys are going to see that. Sabu, you're seeing that now. He had hip surgery.
Yeah.
And I couldn't believe he was wrestling recently. I saw that, but...
Yeah, and he didn't do that, all that flippity-floppy shit, did he?
Sabu? What are you talking about? He invented a lot of that shit. What?
Yeah, but because of the hip surgery, he didn't do all that stuff.
Yeah. He still did like a lot of like Arabian face busters and shit like that. So yeah, he's done.
Because he's in his 50s now, so.
Yeah.
Then again, Edge, almost 50, and Smackdown.
Yeah. Okay. All right, Chris. Well, here's the thing about a lot of that, though, and it brings me to Daniel Bryan, a recent interview, asking him why he came over, and basically he said, "Look, he likes the company, he loves Vince, but Vince didn't want him to wrestle because he was afraid he would break his neck."
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to shit on Mr. Burns for that.
I can see common sense for that, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, especially since he had to drop his championship. He was probably like, Jesus Christ, pal, you've been complaining. Fans have been complaining that you want you to be champion. I finally make you champion, and you say you have to retire because of an injury. Then you come back.
Head injury, not neck, his head.
Yeah.
Because they're worried about him having CTE. Because he kind of wrestles Benoit like if you do with the diving headbutts.
And he wants to wrestle in New Japan, guys. So wait.
Him and Suzuki. Oh God.
That scary.
God. Yes, that man.
Oh,
okay, we'll get to the Suzuki later because the forearm shots, because he hits you for real.
Okay. Well, before we get to that, I want to mention another wrestler in his 50s who is getting surgery or had surgery recently. Mr. Paul Levesque, Triple H.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Doing a cardiac event. He had a heart attack.
Right, yeah. I'm surprised I wasn't on the list of words he just mentioned.
Yeah, he had a heart attack. My family, as you know, both my mom and dad had heart trouble, and they both had stents put in.
Yeah.
I know the procedure. He probably had a stent put in to open up the artery. If not, he had a bypass.
Yeah, that's pretty common with a lot of...
And I wish him speedy recovery, because right now, he's going to be our savior for that company.
You think so? Because,
Vince has been spanking him left and right.
He not only spanked him, he basically sent him to his room.
Literally to a hospital room.
Okay, let me ask you this. Getting to what he may or may not be the savior of. What do you think of the new direction of NXT?
The upcoming NXT is going to be the first live one. They did a bunch of tape shows. This is going to be with the new color scheme. This is going to be with a new direction. I won't know until I watch it.
Well, I saw they had the artist renderings of what the arena is going to look like.
Oh, rainbow colors. Looks like a fucking 5-year-old painted it.
Well, plus the promotional videos, too, it's different music. Instead of being black and gold and, Slipknot, you're going to have hip-hop. And here's my whole thing. It's like, not just with wrestling, but any type of entertainment. I realize I'm in my 50s. Entertainment companies aren't trying to get my money. They're trying to get the 18 to 49 demographic.
Definitely the demo.
And especially after watching YouTube, and I told you, and I might have mentioned on this show, I'm saving up to go to Japan and Korea when...
Yeah, for the baseball thing, yeah.
The COVID thing. Well, also, I want to see some of these Japanese metal bands that I've been showing you. Especially all these female bands.
Oh, yeah, love bites, yeah.
It's like, Japan, God bless you. You're
forward thinking. You're forward thinking almost.
You're kicking our ass in science and technology. You've done that for years. And now you're playing metal while we're playing, stupid...
Creed and Nickelback.
And hip-hop with, auto-tune. Yeah, okay.
If you turn on a local rock station, at any local rock station, you're not going to hear any decent music. You're hearing Nickelback. Forgive you.
But we need a
sorry
hero,
if I pissed off any Nickelback fans.
But we need a hero, Chris. Come on now.
Yeah, we need a hero. Thank you, Bonnie Tyler. No, that was Tina Turner.
That was also Nickelback. They did it for the...
Oh, yeah. Oh, God, you shit. Oh. Thank you. That song's going to be on my fucking head. Speaking of songs in my head, ever since the pay-per-view, I can't get Ruby Soho out of my head. The song, not the girl.
Yeah, I'm not going to comment on that because...
For a while...
Ruby Soho in my head... No, I can't do that. I can't do it. I want to do it, but... I want her to do it, but no, I can't do it.
And I couldn't get Code of Personality when Punk debuted out of my head for like a week. It's like an earworm, you know?
Especially if you ever listen to latest episodes of Jim Cornette's show. He sings it horribly. He's like, I'm Mussolini, and God,
Well, the function we went to a few weeks back, somebody actually sang it at karaoke.
Okay, well,
The big glaring, and you said I'm reading too much into this, was the Selina Vega snub. And I talked to several people about this. It was disrespectful to Selina Vega, the memory of her father, and the people who lost their lives in the towers that day. She lost her father. If you saw the video I sent you earlier of her mother doing the recount, her father was in the 104th floor working in an office building in the tower when he died. Okay? The gear, have you seen the pictures of the gear?
Yes.
It was a tribute to everybody who lost their lives that day. And because of a stupid tag match that should have been on a dark show, or the Edge Rollins match, which I'll give them props. It was an excellent match, but they went 30 minutes too. They went 30 minutes. It was maybe 10 minutes too long. They could have had that. And you said to yourself, there was not a female match other than the Becky Lynch Bianca contract.
And that's my point. That's why I think you're reading way too much into this. It was not an intentional slight on Selina Vega, like you and these other idiots on
It's not
Twitter.
it's just I'm seeing a lot of people from the industry, inside the industry, coming down on this.
Again, take off your fucking tinfoil hats. That's a bunch of crap. Vince is in panic mode because of the ratings. He doesn't give a shit about Selina Vega or 9/11. He wants the...
That's right. He doesn't give a shit about that. That's going to piss a lot of people off.
Right, but my point is he's worried about ratings and worried about money that he's not going to get from Saudi Arabia. That's why he did it. That's why
big money.
Right. That's why you didn't see any women's matches that week or the week before that.
Or even, like I said, the only thing we got was a stupid contract signing, which I'm still not convinced Becky Lynch is a fucking heel.
Well, here's my point with again, that's Vince is in panic mode. That's why he brought Becky Lynch back as soon as he did. Because the whole thing is, it's like, oh, goddamn, pal, we're losing all these ratings, all this money during the pandemic. What did we do during the pandemic that was wrong? Well,
we got everybody.
Yeah, well, but before that, he probably feels in his mind, before he got rid of those people, he pushed the wrong people. Mm-hmm. He probably pushed the women, he feels like he pushed the women more than they should be pushed. He feels like they probably pushed Bianca Belair more than she should have been pushed.
And she's a fucking fantastic worker.
And all the
match she had with Sasha at WrestleMania was great.
Okay, but it didn't draw the main money, and they still lost in the ratings. NXT, he blames that on Triple H, even though that company was their best brand.
Yeah,
and they didn't have to put them on Wednesday night against Dynamite, okay?
Because he tried to out-indie the indie guys, okay? We're going to say goodbye to Gargano soon because he's a midget over 30. Yeah. We're going to say goodbye to Tommaso soon. And when I heard about NXT, they're going to make Gargano the top heel. That's against everything Vince is saying. No more midgets, no more over 30. Because Gargano's over 30, and he's on what, 190 pounds?
But he probably lasted Vince's fart joke, so that's probably why he didn't say.
Or Hunter's got pictures on Vince about that. I don't know what the hell's going on.
Yeah, they're called wedding pictures of his daughter.
Yeah. And that means Candice will probably go. If Gargano's going, Candice is going to be going. Going back to Selina real quick. This is what I want to mention. Do you think she's still being punished because Alistair is where he is? No. Because it's a wonder if she's not eating tables for 9 straight weeks.
No, he doesn't want to use women. He's never liked women.
He's a chauvinistic pig, then.
But not just chauvinistic. He's old-fashioned as far as he's never liked tag teams, and he's never liked women. He never wanted to push them.
He hates managers now, apparently, unless their name is Adam Cole.
Right. I mean, the only one who's allowed to manage or be an advocate is Paul Heyman.
That's the one thing. That was the one bright spot the entire SmackDown was Heyman.
And that's another reason I think also you didn't see any women's matches or a lot of other wrestlers not being on the show because of that old storyline.
The hipster lumberjack that showed up?
Not just that, but I mean just the whole Roman Reigns, Uso story, the bloodline.
Yeah, and now getting the demon. Well, they're bringing the demon out just for Roman to beat the shit out of.
The demon was a stupid gimmick anyway. I mean, if I was Roddy Piper MJF and I was going against Finn Balor, especially if I was Roddy Piper, I'd be like, "Hey, look, champ, I tried to do that against Bad News Brown. I got a lot of heat for it. Why do you think you can do it now, man?"
Yeah.
I mean, technically, Finn Balor, and even though I don't think he's going in this direction for it, he's in blackface. Yep. What the fuck is he doing on it? I'm surprised he hasn't got any heat about it.
I know, but it's supposed to be... He's such a comic book nerd. You know some of the... It's like Venom and some of the shit you've been seeing the drawings on. It's
supposed to be like Atragon, the demon from DC Comics or something stupid. I mean...
Trigon, yeah.
Right, I mean, come on.
He's a nerd. He's a nerd.
But he's a 100-pound nerd.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
he's 265?
Huh?
What's Roman? 265, 275?
Yeah.
Which he's going to lose because of Extreme Rules, which is the upcoming pay-per-view. Which I'll probably miss because of a Ravens game.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to get Brockus Interruptus again.
Yeah.
Because I found out he's agreed to 8 appearances a year.
Yeah.
More than 2 or 3.
And he's probably going to take time off for a reunion with Home Improvement.
Yeah, that picture you sent me was awesome, by the way. Yeah.
All right.
He does look like the oldest kid from Home Improvement now.
Yeah.
But I still call him the hipster lumberjack. Or onion head. But,
well, seriously, dude, okay, I'm definitely going to sound like a grumpy old man here, but what you guys that are out there that are young adults, what possesses you to wear that fucking man bun? If you barely have, like,
Unless you ever had the hair to begin with.
Right. He doesn't have the hair. I saw Aaron Rodgers on an interview with Aaron Andrews.
Yeah.
The Aaron I would actually rather draft for fantasy now instead of drafting Aaron Rodgers like a fucking idiot like I was. Thanks, Aaron. Double check this, you son of a bitch.
Seacrest.
Yeah.
But, like I said, SmackDown, even Raw, I'm like, when I saw the whole Charlotte Alexa thing, I was like, and they did a house show in D.C. recently.
Yeah.
Where we went to a double count out. Or a double DQ, a double count out with Alexa and Charlotte. And usually these dark matches, these house shows, are usually practice matches for camera. So are we going to get a double counter or a double DQ in Extreme Rules?
They would have to call it something else if they do.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be a regulation match. It's not going to be a gimmick match from what I understand.
Who cares?
Because Extreme Rules and Hell in a Cell are so watered down, it's not fucking funny.
Well, it's funny you mention that because I had seen ads right after they had said that they were going to do that show in Washington, D.C. They were supposed to be bringing Smackdown, an episode of Smackdown, to Baltimore.
No.
The 1st of October, the day before the MLW Opera Cup and...
No.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
I'm taking my wrestling money and driving 90 miles north.
No. One, it is cheaper to eat at home. It's cheaper to drink at home.
Yeah.
It's cheaper to watch it at home.
If you choose to do so, it's...
Which I'll probably wind up doing for this show anyway, so...
Yeah.
But I heard it's like a super show where the dark match is Drew McIntyre versus Roman.
Right.
Which is a cross-brand thing, which we know this is going to happen before the draft?
I was going to say, when is the draft?
Sometime mid-October, from what I heard.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Thank you, Vince.
Hi-yo!
But, like I said, the only good thing on SmackDown that I saw was the Seth Rollins match and how they played the neck thing of Edge the entire time. And I thought that was great.
Yeah, the way he
got carded out, too. Oh, that was fantastic.
And then the interview with Rollins was brilliant. He was like, I really don't... It's like he has like an inner conflict, but then he's also, you know, sociopathic and psychopathic that he doesn't care.
Are we getting a face turn soon?
I doubt it.
Because he's such a great heel. And also, this upcoming Raw, which, again, I'm probably going to watch the night after because of the Ravens game, is we're going to get a tag title match.
Right.
The Hurt Business versus Riddle and Orton, because they're trying to build up Orton and Lashley for Extreme Rules.
Why can't they just do what other companies have done in the past? If you have those two going after the tag belts, and then you have Orton going after the World Championship, the Raw Championship, I guess. Why can't they just have the match where it's a tag match and
all the belts are? Yeah,
if Lashley is pinned, whoever pins him is world champ, and if
they just did that in Impact, I think. Well, not too long ago. They did that in Impact. I forget what other company.
Basically make it heavyweight championship versus tag team championship.
Yeah, I mean, they did that. Well, I forgot what company it was, but they just did that recently. Mm-hmm. Was it AEW or Ring of Honor or Impact? I can't remember.
Probably Impact.
Impact. We'll get to that in a little bit. Yeah, because we have an Impact streaming special coming up. This upcoming Victory Road.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Victory Road, which was a pay-per-view. Now it's going to be on their streaming service and for a little extra coin. And, by the way, since they're not on Twitch anymore, guess where you can watch Impact now?
Where?
YouTube. $1 a week.
Okay, that's not too bad.
$1 a week. That's what I'm hearing. You can go to Impact's YouTube channel. I heard it's $1 a week. I haven't tried it out myself, but you can watch it on YouTube.
It used to be, NWA used to charge $5 a week to watch it on Fight. Now they do it $5 a month.
Yeah, I think that's great.
Yeah.
Fight seems like the best option right now because I was at my buddy John's and that's how he ordered it all out and we didn't have no problem.
Fight actually, and we're not sponsored by them folks, but Fight, will be willing to do business. But they have a good, even if you don't want to buy any of the pay-per-views, they still have a lot of indie shows free.
They have GCW on there.
And they have also a lot of MMA cards free. Well, included in your subscription.
Speaking of which, we're going to get the match. I forgot what GCW show it's going to be, but we're going to finally get Moxley versus Nick Gage.
Oh, I saw another GCW show, and it had Murder Grandpa on there.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully it should see that.
It had a picture of him. It was, and again, some guy in kind of like a Cthulhu octopus type of mask. I forget who it was.
Gresham?
Maybe, and it had might be a show in October because it had the title of the show wasn't Spooky Bullshit, but it was Spooky something. I don't know.
Well, that leads me to believe that Moxley's going to lose the title back to Nick Gage. Because he is now the GCW champion who beat Cardona. Out of Dirty Deeds out of nowhere.
Right.
Or as they call it the Death Rider in Japan. I told you off air about the Kingston Challenge. Apparently on the upcoming episodes of Dark, this is a spoiler alert, Kingston comes out and calls out Suzuki-gun, meaning Suzuki and Lance Archer, for a future tag match with him and Moxley. What's your thoughts? And everybody dies?
It's a death wish.
From who?
Yes.
Yeah.
Archer or
Suzuki?
Or, yeah.
Do you believe what my friend Wilk says now? Old man hit hard?
Yeah.
Yeah, he does. His old man hit hard. He's 53. I looked him up.
SpongeBob Hardcore, yes.
Well, we can start
His
about...
hairdo is a pineapple under the sea, yeah.
Well, you should have seen it when he had... Somebody sent me a picture of him in 1988 wearing Zumas and a fade.
One thing about Suzuki, I'm surprised he didn't mention this. I saw this today.
What?
The match he had against Moxley, he remember he had that big gash over his eye. He said he got 7 stitches from that.
From God? Oh, no shit. For Moxley or for Suzuki?
For Suzuki.
Oh, no. Oh, that's right, yeah. Oh, yeah. I can't wait for that New Japan show now because you finally got a sample of him. You're going to get a full dose of him at New Japan.
Alright, well... all I'm going to say is... I'll be happy for you, which, if you want to come out and announce your relationship with Mr. Suzuki, I'll be happy for you. I'll support you,
Screw you. Screw you.
No, I think that's what you might want to do with Suzuki, but anyway, no, I'm just kidding.
No.
Just kidding, come on. There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that, nothing wrong with that. Okay.
Now, I want to get to AEW from the last show. What did you think of Black versus Dustin? It was a total destruction of Dustin Rhodes.
I thought it was interesting that it wasn't a squash match and it was a...
competitive match?
Yes.
And a lot of people said that Dustin had a blood capsule and he bit on it. That's where he got the blood from.
I heard that too. I don't know.
I thought it was a decent match. They're making Black into a buzzsaw killer.
They should.
They should, yeah.
They should treat him, basically do what they do with Miro. Just make him, just violent. And...
after he moves on from Cody, which should be the next feud for him? Because it's going to be Cody and him at Arthur Ashe Stadium in a few weeks.
Well, they're going to prolong it, but here's what I think they should do. If they aren't suffering from McMahon disease and being tone deaf to listen to the audience.
Yeah.
If you noticed, before Cody Rhodes went away, they were cheering like crazy for Malachi, and they were booing Cody Rhodes.
So you think Cody will come back as the heel, and... Well, Malachi's the heel.
Well, you might see a double swerve.
Kind of like WrestleMania with Austin and Brett?
Yeah, Austin, Brett, Honky Tonk Man, and Jake. Yeah. Like that, yeah.
Because, I could... I could say face, though?
Yeah, just because,
Just tweak the character a little bit?
They can tweak his character, or just have him play different opponents. That's all you have to do when you make like a hated bad guy.
Excuse me, did he already face Rusev?
In AEW, no.
No, AEW didn't he face Rusev?
Probably.
Probably in dark shows, or house shows. But how would you like to see him against Rusev and Miro for the TNT title? And have Cody come back chasing him after him.
Interesting.
Now, the Punk segment that came out when he started doing it with Taz jumping all over him.
Right.
I don't remember Punk mentioning Team Taz.
He did it in that interview. Taz alluded to
social media
interviews with Buster Open Radio and stuff like that, probably.
Yeah.
But
a Punk Ricky Starks match, more please.
Yeah. It looks like they're leaning more towards him against Hobbs, which I hope they don't.
The next thing was Ruby in the Brit segment backstage, where Brit said, "Why don't you just go back to catering where you've been for the past year?"
Yeah, right.
That was hilarious. That was hilarious. Again, now that her boyfriend's there, who's still better, her or him?
Oh, Oh, her, definitely.
Or her. She's heads and tails above him right now.
Yeah.
Until he starts making strides.
I'll tell you why that's the case, and maybe they'll change this. Right now, Adam Cole he's like, yeah, I'm the new guy. I'm here with my buddies. You know, I'm not going to. I mean, he's still going to be an asshole heel, but he's not going to try to. Doesn't look like he's trying to be the leader of the Elite or anyone else like he was with the Undisputed Era. He seems like he's just trying to. He's just going in slowly. Where Britt Baker always tried to be the leader, the boss bitch. Yeah.
I could see her in Jade Cargill because Jade Cargill, what's her tagline? I am that bitch.
Yeah.
I could see her in Britt down the road since Britt is in tweener territory.
Right.
Even though she leans heel, she's been taking on heels. And Jade Cargill is a...
Well, not really. I mean, she did that with Nyla Rose, but other than that, I mean, they booked Pittsburgh made Red Velvet a heel, but she's not a heel.
It was like, what was it, that In Your House in Calgary where the Road Warriors and all of them faced the Hart Foundation. The Hart Foundation came in as super baby faces.
Oh, yeah.
And the baby faces came in and got booed out of the building.
Sure. Cause it was the fake U.S. versus Canada war, yeah.
Yeah, it was also in Calgary.
Yeah. The only place where that actually exists is if you go to NHL games between border cities. I used to go to high school with a couple of teachers who were from Buffalo. And
Sabres and Maple Leafs?
Well, they said the big one was the Bruins and the Canadiens. They said whenever the Montreal fans came, they always got in a fight with the Buffalo fans. Or the Maple Leafs, yeah.
The next thing was, and this, I didn't like the booking of this, was Hobbs and Dante Martin. I know Hobbs is supposed to be this big monster, but Dante, my God, he's going to be a future star.
Yeah, except they keep burying him. I mean, he's kind of...
They're waiting for his brother to come back.
Who's his brother?
Remember they were in Top Flight. That's the tag.
Okay.
Who are way better than the Acclaimed.
And House Party.
Yeah.
Private Party, yeah.
But I know they're supposed to book Hobbs as this big monster now. I forgot who's Hobbs got next. Was it Punk?
Probably, yeah. And then, and Taz's little rant there, I think that's what they were alluding to.
It's going to be that, and probably even they refer to Taz's son, which I think he's training.
Yeah.
The next thing is, you didn't think he went too far. I think he went too far was the MJF promo. I think he went too far. With the Metheny segment mentioned about Pillman's mom and going after Pillman's sister?
I disagree for several reasons. Number one...
You're supposed to be a heel, I know that.
Okay, the other reason is, if you noticed, when he was saying all those things to...
Pillman's family?
Pillman's sister and, Brian Pillman Jr.'s sister and all that, Aunt Linda, okay? They were laughing their asses off. And come on, you don't think, if you saw Dark Side of the Ring, you know that they have disdain for Melanie and all that. You don't think that they didn't give MJF, it's like, okay, say this about...
Oh, and you didn't think him and Pillman Jr. talked about it?
Pillman Jr. hates Melanie. He said that in that interview. He said that in a few interviews.
Damn, I forgot all about that.
Oh, yeah.
Did you notice, did you hear what happened after the show? His sister went into labor.
Right,
so he basically thanked MJF for putting his sister in labor.
Right.
On Twitter. I read that on Twitter. I was like, I couldn't stop laughing. But, like I said, I thought it went a little bit overboard with the content. But now that I know.
Right.
The next thing I wanted to talk was the Jamie Hayter Ruby Soho match, which I had a feeling Ruby got injured. Remember how she got slung against the ropes almost face first?
That, and there was that one awkward...
She slingshot.
Yeah, it was that awkward thing like in the corner or whatever. Yeah. I think she slipped out of Hayter's arms. I think it was a botch by Hayter somehow. Which is a shame, because otherwise I like Jamie Hayter. I really like
I bet you do.
But,
Cowboy.
Yeah. Well, okay, maybe later. But anyway. Shoot us in, my money. Okay. All right.
But, if it's a botch, it's an accidental botch. Because I never heard of Hater hurting girls. Unlike a certain Samoan woman.
Yeah.
But I thought it was a good match. She won with I don't know what they're going to call the kick. I used to be called the Riot Kick. And she won on Rampage with it too. Was it on Hater? Or was it on... No, it was on Rebel.
Yeah.
With the 6 woman. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Then we get the feud I don't want to see that we're going to get is Spears and FTR versus the fracturing Dark Order. So we're going to get 2 Dark Orders now?
It's going to be an interview. Yeah, it's
with
going to be
Silver and Reynolds?
It's a civil war between the Dark Order. Yeah.
And Cena and Jay come out and just basically yell at them?
Yeah.
Well, we're going to see Silver. You know what Silver and Reynolds' tag team name was in the Indies, don't you?
What?
The Beaver Boys.
Oh, okay.
So we're going to see Return of the Beaver Boys.
So basically, you're going to have Dark Order Black and White and Dark Order Wolfpack, more or less.
Pretty much, yeah. But until somebody from a swamp comes in.
Yeah, I don't know.
You know it's going to happen.
And we talked about this on the. I'm not a fan of swamp ass Bray Wyatt like a lot of guys. I like his more recent incarnation, not just because of
the children's show guy and the Fiend.
I like the fact that he was so batshit crazy that he had multiple personalities. I like that. I thought that's what made him cool and creepy. But
yeah, true. But we like they let breadcrumbs about Punk coming down. They even kind of little breadcrumbs about Bray.
Right.
And what did you think of that picture I sent you of Tony Khan as Thanos with the Infinity Gauntlet?
Oh yeah. Yeah. There was a meme where Tony Khan had the Infinity Gauntlet and he had like different wrestlers coming from WWE to AEW as little Infinity Stones, and he had one shaped like Bray Wyatt to put in his glove.
You loved it. I saw the reaction. You loved it. And the last thing about that, the Elite interview with where I'm trying not to say Daniel Bryan because we're so used to saying Daniel Bryan. Bryan Danielson came out.
We're not getting money from them either way. I don't give a shit.
And I found out why he's not using Europe. What was his theme music in Ring of Honor?
The Final Countdown is because Europe wants too much money.
Wants way too much money. Even Tony Khan was like, no, he's giving money out to Rancid, even though I heard one of the guys at Rancid is a huge wrestling fan. And Living Color is Living Color. And they're synonymous with Punk anyway.
Well, the thing is, okay, he's probably paying Living Color, just as WWE did. Rancid, actually, the reason they're working with Ruby, I don't know if you heard this or not, when they found out that she changed her name to Ruby Soho, they contacted her and basically lent them the song.
Wow, I did not know that.
Yep.
Now, it kind of makes sense with the video she made, because remember she was trying to get somewhere.
Yeah.
And what's the chorus of Ruby Soho? Destination Unknown.
Right.
And what'd you think of what she said? It said Destination AEW. What's with the Runaways thing? That was written on her ass.
I think that might have been... Well, I think her character in the movie was kind of like a runaway, and it might be a thing alluding to Joan Jett. But I want to get back to Rancid with that real quick.
Okay.
Rancid has a connection with another newly crowned AEW employee.
Who?
They're friends with Punk.
Of course. Of course. Wasn't he in one of their videos?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he was in one. Which video? Was it a Time Bomb video?
It might have been. And I think also, I don't know if it was a Rancid song or not, but the reason Punk comes at the clobbering time is not just because of the Fantastic Four, it's because of a Punk song. And I think...
Yeah. He's an old school punker. He likes
Right.
the old school stuff like me and you do. You know, he probably grew up on Ramones and Sex Pistols like me and you did.
Dead Kennedys
and all that. MC5
Fugazi and shit like that. Yeah.
Velvet Underground. Yeah. He probably grew up on all that stuff, and that's Phil's Phil. And there's still that rumor of April, his wife, coming.
Well, I saw excerpts of an interview about that. Punk addressed that.
Yes.
And he said it's not going to happen. And the reason being is because she has a neck injury.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Well, no, he said that.
Yeah.
He said it himself. He said it's not going to happen.
Well, that could be from... Well, I told you this. I think I said this on the last show. Britt Baker, once she started training, the first move she learned was the Black Widow because April was using it as a finisher.
Right.
And she grew up watching, and I can't believe I just said that, grew up watching AJ Lee, and that was probably one of her favorites when in her younger days, when Britt was training. The last thing I want to get to, do you think we're going to get Daniel Bryanson versus Omega at Full Gear?
When's Full Gear?
November 13th?
I think we might see that down the road. I don't think they're ready for that yet.
Well, because
I think you're going to see him feuding with Adam Cole before that, and it'll set it up to Omega.
Bay.
Right.
Now we're going to get to the match. Everybody's complaining about it was a great match until the finish was the Mox Suzuki match because that Dirty Deeds DDT looked like a butterfly suplex at the end.
Yeah.
And everybody's dumping on it.
Well, because he tried to no-sell and Hulk up, and Suzuki did, I should say, and then he just kind of laid down for him, which
I noticed one thing, and this is also getting a lot of complaints. Suzuki had his theme played throughout, all out, and the snarky fans in Chicago sang along in Japanese to the song lyrics because that's what they do in Japan. But as soon as they reached the chorus in Cincinnati, they cut it short to a Wild Thing.
Well, the reason they did that, and again, I think that's just...
Because of the Cincinnati thing?
No.
The hometown boy?
No. It was like airtime.
Oh, yeah.
He had like...
So much time left.
He had like 10 minutes left. I remember seeing that. And that's one issue I had with that match. Why the fuck can't... If you're going to have a main event... And this is one thing WWE did well. I commended them for this. Or at least used to do this. They would be like... Alright folks, we're going to get our commercials out of the way, and then when we come back, we're going to have the main event uninterrupted.
Oh, the picture-in-picture shit just drives me crazy.
For a 10-minute fucking match for the main event, you couldn't... What
was it, a Rampage?
Yeah, you couldn't do it without one Liberty Mutual commercial. Come on, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, what was it, Shivani said on Rampage, we'll be back in 90 seconds! Just 90 seconds!
Well,
Don't you realize the attention span of most humans are of ADD children nowadays?
Well, that's why they had Orange Cassidy win during a commercial break a couple weeks ago.
A
couple weeks before that.
When I watched Rampage, it wasn't through the fight feed, it was through traditional, and I had to do the picture-in-picture thing, which drove me nuts. That was during the women's match, wasn't it? Oh, did they do picture-in-picture on Rampage?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, and it was...
Well, there's one match they did picture-in-picture, and then there's one they just said, okay...
We'll be back in 90 seconds, yeah.
Yeah, we'll be right back.
I think it was during the 6-woman tag.
Yeah.
And, again... You got 6 women, well, 5 women. Rebel can't wrestle her way out of a wet paper bag. You had horses. You had workhorses in there. And you're going to get a commercial. I know you got to pay the sponsors, but Jesus.
Well, it's not. It's TNT, not just them per se. But okay, let me ask you your opinion about Rampage. And I think we talked about this.
The
before.
reverse booking.
No, not that. The announced teams. They had Excalibur away because he was getting married. Yeah. Good. You know what? I'd like to see him be like,
a house husband.
Or even better, be like a Sheik and get married like every other week. Because, I heard, eventually I heard Jim Ross wants to step down and
he's
do like
up there in age and Bell's palsy,
Right. But I like Taz.
Jericho is a little bit over the top.
I liked him when he was like on Dynamite when it's only like 3 people. But he gets a little hyper.
Yeah.
Mark
Henry is worse. Oh my God.
Well, Mark Henry's the other extreme. For one thing,
low key as shit.
I'm sure there are production people sitting their pants saying, "We got to tell this guy to speak into the mic louder." But it's like, would you want to tell?
Mark Henry that?
No.
I don't like the interview segment before the main event.
I can't stand that.
The whole thing with Mark Henry doing the split screen thing, I don't like it.
Alright, so Jon Moxley, what are you going to do to this during this match? You know, and
it's time for the main event. And he's doing it with a big smile.
It looks like he's reading one of Sammy Guevara's, cards while he's doing that. I mean, and not
it almost made me squirt my drink.
Yeah. Well, squirted the other way.
Yeah.
Freshly squeezed.
God damn. Oh, you mentioned freshly squeezed. I want your opinion, but going back to All Out, about Orange Cassidy breaking character and yelling at Chris Statlander to get in the ring. Because I know you hate art, or I know you can't stand Orange.
Well, I think they were trying to set up a storyline there, maybe a possible little romance angle, because they were even referenced it in the commentary.
It kind of reminded me a little bit. Remember when Sting was hurt and they had Luger take his place, and Sting got in his face and slapped Luger in the face, running away from him? Kind of reminded me of that a little bit.
Well, I remember back in the day. I hardly ever watch this show now, but before Dynamite came out, and this was an episode shortly after Dynamite came out. They had a storyline where they first introduced Chris Statlander, and she didn't talk or anything.
Yep.
And she did this thing where she had a chair and she sat like Mork from Mork, where she basically
sat on her face.
Yeah, sit her head on the seat part of a chair, and acting like she's going to figure out how to work a chair.
Oh God.
Well, this was supposedly like backstage. Orange Cassidy comes with another chair, takes her by the hand, gently walks her over to the chair and teaches her how to sit. And then right after that, he gave her the boop.
Oh, Christ.
But that was like a year, and it was like about when Dynamite was first starting out.
Well,
and they kind of got away.
Again, I've been telling you this. They're learning from Gato, from Japan. They're believing in long-term storytelling, unlike the other guys. Which
they should do, which is refreshing, which is what Mr. Burns' company used to do very well. And then they don't anymore.
I'm still believing that Vince has a severe ADHD.
ADHD? He could also. I mean, we're
going senile?
Not only going senile, but what you were talking about before with Daniel Bryan possibly having CTE.
Remember, he did take headshots by chairs in the 90s.
Oh,
the Attitude Era.
Yeah, and it's like he's
not a trained professional wrestler.
No, he's not. In fact, even on this shoot about McMahon that they did, it's like Triple H and Kurt Angle were afraid to get in the ring with him because he knew he would potato them. He didn't know what he was doing,
Jesus Christ. And that's when he was in his late 40s, early 50s.
Right. Yeah, he was like in our age.
Yeah, he's around our age, yeah. You don't see people our age, well, Jericho, Christopher Daniels, Edge.
Yeah.
What is it, a resurgence of old guys now?
Yep.
But,
morning, dickhead.
Yeah, but what would you give Dynamite overall?
That card, I would say, maybe between a 3 and a 4. It wasn't bad. Out of 5.
The only thing we didn't cover on SmackDown was the tag title match at the end. Did you like it at all? Between Usos and Street Profits?
Yeah, I did, except for the finish.
But Roman just choking out Montez Ford?
Yeah.
Him flaring around like a dead fish.
Yeah, it looked like a Faith No More video.
Yeah, it looked like a Faith No More video. But it was a good match. I'm not a big Street Profits fan. It's Montez is great. Dawkins. I never was a fan of Dawkins. Montez Ford, they're booking him like Ricky Morton.
Again, it's a hip-hop angle marketed to younger audience than we are.
Yeah.
Very much.
Well, Dawkins has been in NXT looking for partners for years before they hooked up with Ford. Because he was the man of many headbands.
Which one's married to the Bianca Copter?
Montez.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, last Halloween they did a whole thing where he was Michael Jackson in Thriller. She was the movie date. That was amazing. Yeah. That was great cosplay. That was amazing. Since I'm the only one of us two that watched this show, I'm going through the impact notes.
Alright.
We had Rosemary, and going back.
You go ahead. I'm going to do what I did the Fozzy show the other night. Go for the opening bands. Go take a peek. But anyway,
I want to ask your opinion on this, and this goes back to what we talked about last year with Daphne. If it wasn't for Daphne, would we still have a Rosemary? Would we have an iteration of Alexa Bliss, or Mischief, or Jessica Havoc, or even Sue Young?
Probably not. I mean,
she was the influencer.
She influenced a lot of girls, but there were a lot of crazy women before her, though. I mean,
Luna,
yeah, exactly.
Luna. When that dark side comes
Sherry
up,
Martel too.
Sherry Martel. But the dark, creepy, screaming,
Oh yeah, Victoria. She was. Of course, it was around the same area. I guess.
Rosemary, you can definitely tell she took hints from Daphne, from the whole same character. She went up against former NWA wrestler Tasha Steelz, who she is now with Savannah Evans, this big China-looking bitch.
Yeah.
Who look like they're going to go after Decay for the Knockouts tag titles. But I think that's going to be at Victory Road. Then I don't know what they're doing with Rhino. Apparently, he's slowly getting kicked out and being brought back into Violent by Design. Because they blame him for the loss of the tag titles to the Good Brothers. Right. And they're doing the whole baptismal thing, washing yourself in violence and shit. I don't get it. I didn't get it.
I guess it's supposed to be kind of like gangs when they...
Yeah, well, the whole motif is they're in jail.
Yeah.
Then then I didn't write a lot of segments on here because it was like a lot of bullshit backstage segments. We had a bunkhouse brawl match. When was the last time you heard those words?
Yeah.
80s?
More recent than that, but I mean, yeah, it's because they're really hardcore matches. That's all they are. I mean...
Carl Anderson versus Rich Swann, which Swann, my God, for a little guy, could take the fucking bumps like crazy. Anderson won with help, and they're setting up maybe Swann and Willie Mack versus the Good Brothers.
Speaking of Swann, I wanted to ask your opinion about this. Recently, Pro Wrestling Illustrated had their annual Top 500.
He's in the top 10.
I was going to say, Rich Swann's ranked 8. I was going to ask about that. Because he didn't have the belt then, did he? I mean,
he had the Impact title earlier this year.
Right.
And he lost it to Omega. To the number 1. I'm glad Swann... Hey, Baltimore's represented. Baltimore's represented because he is from here. Matter of fact...
But top 10, though? Really?
I had a talk with Rich Swann at a CCW show. You know where his day job was? He worked at the Walgreens near my house.
Oh, wow.
The Rite Aid?
Yeah.
The Walgreens. He worked at the Rite Aid near my house overnights. And I did not know that. And I probably saw him and didn't even notice him. And me and him had a long talk. Dude's cool. The dude is cool.
Yeah.
The dude is very cool. He was part of a tag team of somebody you know, Ryan McBride.
Right.
You know what their tag team was called? The Irish Drive-By.
Okay.
And they were actually pretty good. And around here in CCW, where they even got tag title shots of CCW against Blackout.
Okay. Which
was actually pretty good. The next match, David Finlay, Finjuice, against Chris Bay of Bullet Club. Who, he has his own shirt now called Finesse Club, of course. Finlay won with the help of Juice Robinson. That big Tongan showed up. Who showed up against Archer on Hilakio or wherever his name is. He showed up. So it looks like
Thomas' brother, basically.
The Tongan's big little brother.
Right.
He's what, 6-something. He's a huge human being. Apparently they're setting up maybe Finjuice versus those two because I don't think Jay White was at the group of tapings, and I know maybe he'll be at that show we're going to be at.
And the Forbidden Oil squeaking and needing the grease.
Yeah. Then we had a contract signing between Josh for an X Division title match because Josh Alexander champion is challenging any former X Division champion. Chris Sabin. You never seen Josh Alexander. They're pushing this kid to the fucking moon. Rightfully so, because the man is fucking great.
Okay.
Too bad he was Ethan Page's tag team partner last year in the North. Then we had the one segment that you don't like. The gambling casino's back. Because we had TJP putting bets on the Steve Macklin, who was Steve Cutler, Forgotten Sons, against Petey Williams.
Right.
And apparently Falaba and No Way Jose were part of this mix and helped Macklin win. Does it mean No Way's with the conga line distracted him? Does it mean No Way's a heel?
I mean, he probably wants to do that as a change of pace. Otherwise, it's like No Way. Who cares?
Yeah, he's still doing the conga line and all that, and all the developmental guys. Then we had the main event of Eddie Edwards versus Moose.
Ooh.
Edwards had hoof prints all over him.
I bet.
And they're teasing Moose teaming up with Cass, W. Morrissey.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, Lord is right. Against the unlikely team who hit Eddie Edwards legit in the face with a bat.
Callahan?
Callahan.
Oh, jeez. That could be a wild fight. That'd be interesting.
Yeah, because Callahan are pushing as the main event. They're still pushing Callahan as the main eventer. Mm-hmm. And I want to get to this on Impact. The one person who got stripped of the world title last year will never work anywhere again in this country. And you know who I'm talking about because this person has nuclear heat with every company. And
but
Tessa Blanchard.
Yeah, but she also has her father in a prominent role in AEW, so I think they might be able to work something out.
Well, the story I read the other day was people at AEW don't want her there. Vince doesn't want her there because of apparently there was when she was going out with Ricochet, there was a very visible, loud altercation between the two where it got to Hunter's ears. And he tried to break it up, and Ricochet was trying to de-escalate, and she was escalating.
Well,
I heard about the racist stuff. That will come back to haunt you. I'm hearing a lot of companies don't want to deal with her at all. They think she's not even 30 yet. And she's going to get married to Daga, who used to work at Impact. There's your similarity between her and Charlotte. They're both married Mexicans.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. I don't think Tully can save her.
Nope.
I don't think. I think she's got too much heat on her, and Daddy can't help. What do you think?
I don't know. Maybe there's whatever store that Jimmy Havoc's working at in England. Maybe they have an opening. Who knows?
Oh, she lives in Mexico now, so.
Oh, there's
even Triple A won't touch her.
Right. Well, there's one place that probably a few months ago might have allowed her to work because they...
Bar wrestling?
Well, no. This was a fed in Texas that we talked about. SWE Fury.
Yeah.
I just saw a report recently from... Are you familiar with Hannibal Nicholson? You know, the Canadian wrestler who has Hannibal TV?
Yeah.
He had a financial partnership with that group who just declared bankruptcy. And he showed... the actual website from, I don't know, I guess the Comptroller of Texas or something like that, where they declared bankruptcy, but yet they were still booking shows as SWE, even though supposedly they're out of business.
Oh.
And they've had a lot of misbookings, a lot of cards without a lot of wrestlers showing up. Mm-hmm. And he even complained that they owed him about $1,000 that they didn't pay him yet for video stuff. And he aired a lot of his shows on his subscription channel, and he had a deal with Selena De La Renta.
Everybody has a streaming service now with their indie promotions.
No, but I mean they had an agreement though. He was kind of like carrying their shows on his channel though.
Okay,
but
is it kind of like the guy who used to run the other UWF, the one they did Dark Side on?
I don't know if they're quite that sketchy, but they might be getting there, especially since their current owner was Lazy Von Erich. And he actually showed a video of her and her mother. I don't know if it was that same convention where she was...
She didn't know who Ted DiBiase was?
Right, but they basically looked like they both had a bag on and were acting stupid, so...
I want to ask your opinion, and I've been seeing a lot of this on Twitter. The ugly face of Rob Black is coming back, and we might be seeing the resurgence of XPW.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I don't think basically when he had any kind of success at all, he had the adult entertainment company basically bankrolling that.
Yeah.
And they were ripping off of ECW.
And then CZW after that.
Right. And they did it because they had similar logos, they had similar type of booking, they even had a lot of wrestlers that people remember from those companies.
Yeah.
So, I mean...
But, when I was reading the comments on Twitter, they don't want him back.
No.
Nobody wants him back.
Right.
They're still blaming him for Messiah.
Oh, yeah, of course.
I think I told you this on the last show. I don't know if I said it on air. I talked to Ruckus.
Mm-hmm.
He talked about the home invasion with Messiah, and I got the whole story.
Yeah.
They weren't aiming for the hand.
They were aiming for
what he was thinking of when he was playing pipe with Lizzie Borden.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. And his hand came down as a defense.
Right. He was probably trying to block it, and
they took the thumb. Did you ever watch the Messiah promo he did in CZW?
I think I was at that card.
When he came out and talked about the thumb and all that, and everybody's chanting "Fuck Rob Black."
Mm-hmm.
Messiah's pretty much retired, married, got kids now. But if you were GCW, or even now with DJ restarting CZW sometime this year, because the pandemic's kind of slowing down a little bit, would you use that again as momentum for your company? Even though GCW had just sold out 3 shows, I think, in Los Angeles.
A storyline with Messiah?
Yes.
Sure, why not?
As Brett Lauderdale, I don't know who's bankrolling him right now, but it's a traveling company now, and he's going all over the country. And he probably he was refereeing those shows back when Messiah was there. And he's probably friends with William Welsh. William Welsh is his name.
Yeah.
You don't think he'll try to get William to come to a show?
I don't see why not.
He's been getting...
Especially if they show another Dark Side of the Ring episode. And then
we're going to get XPW.
Right.
We're going to get XPW come out on that one. You know the majority of it is going to be about Messiah.
Right. Well, I think another reason they don't want Rob Black. I think a lot of the culture with wrestlers now, they're more health conscious. Not
doing the drugs and partying.
Right. They're not. You hear the stories from ECW. I think a lot of the wrestlers are younger and they're more worried about keeping in shape, and especially the women wrestlers, who a lot of them are fitness models and just models.
Well, also the culture's changed in the generations. Where I always said the 80s and even 90s, the wrestling was arena rock.
Yeah. And
the party atmosphere in the back. Now they're just backstage playing video games.
Mm-hmm. Or they're on the phone. It's generational.
It's a generational thing. Xavier Woods has a successful YouTube channel called Up, Up, Down, Down.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, Adam Cole said bye-bye to it. And Lance Archer put a picture of him and Xavier Woods together. They just ran into each other not too long ago.
Yeah.
But Xavier Woods has a successful YouTube channel, and he's had other people on there play video games. And that's all they do nowadays. They don't go out and party anymore. They don't go out and do all this shit. Granted, you're probably going to still have drugs. If you saw the wrestler like I did, drugs still ran rampant in the locker room.
Well, basically, locker rooms are a lot of ways like break rooms for regular jobs.
Yeah.
You see that in regular jobs, too. It's like when I used to be a vendor at certain Home Depot stores. I would go into their break room, and older people would be complaining about it. It's like, the art of conversation's gone. Nobody's want to talk. No, what it is, people want to talk, using their phones to talk to who they want to. They want to talk to they want to check on their kids, they want to check on their friends, their girlfriends, their wives, husbands. They don't want to talk about,
work.
Yeah, or somebody who comes from a different
background, yeah.
Yeah, or they don't want to discuss religion and politics and stuff like that.
That's why you see me when we work together. You see, I'm pretty much by myself on dorm break.
Yeah,
because I don't want to be caught up in all the bullshit.
Right.
I understand that. And again, it's a generational thing, which video games and social media has taken over our lives.
Right.
What else you want to cover?
Well, let's see. We'll talk about Rampage a little bit, too.
I'm confused about their booking sometimes, because when the Punk... They get book in reverse. If you understand that. It's like when Punk...
I think I do, but elaborate.
The second week in, they had Punk. Punk should have been last, and they took the crowd out of it.
Yeah.
The week afterwards, I think it was the tag team tournament finals. They should have booked that last instead of first. You know where I'm going with this?
Yeah, the order's kind of screwed.
Yeah, it's kind of screwed up.
Well, it's been like that long before they've had those guys. But
Pillman Jr. and Caster should have been first.
Well,
I know they're booking him as the hometown guy, but
they're in Cincinnati. That's why they did that.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing too. And my whole take with Rampage, and with Dynamite, they're starting to be more like WWE in this one regard. There is more. Major Morpheus said in Loki, talky. Their promos are getting longer and longer. It's kind of like what we've been complaining about with Raw, you know.
Yeah, well, what our friend John says, I put on a wrestling show or a talk show starts.
Right.
Yeah.
It's pretty accurate. Although one thing I do like about what they do with Rampage, though, they went literally right to the very first match.
Yeah, and even Dynamite's been doing that. And like, or the first 20 minutes of Raw, you got to do the storyline instead of an interview segment or a promo segment.
Yeah.
And they don't jump right into the matches.
I mean, you do need to do that, and a lot of times, like the old days with the shows, the ones that just had the squash matches on local TV that went on the bicycle, you know, and were on UHF channels that we had to like wave the old antennas to get in.
Put tinfoil.
A lot of times that was the best part of the show.
Oh, the promos?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Here's the thing. I noticed one thing on Raw, and I timed it. It's the top of every hour that you do a promo segment, and I don't.
It's like a set formula.
Yeah, it's a set formula, and again, Vince doesn't want to change the formula. Mr. Burns don't want to change the formula at all.
Well, is it just him or is it the writers? Because that's the way a lot of...
He's been ripping up scripts.
That's the way
it's got to be him.
Well, okay, not only that, but I'm just saying as far as just having a set format like that. That's the way a lot of television writers are. Not necessarily of wrestling, but of whether it's sitcoms, whether it's other types of talk shows.
Mm-hmm. Here's I'll reiterate what Gail Kim said. She said when she worked for WWE, she saw a writer come out of Vince's office in tears.
Yeah.
Think about that. He made a grown man cry.
He's probably done that a few times.
He's probably done that. He's probably made Hunter cry. We all know Ric Flair can cry at the drop of a hat. So, there's still that rumor of Ric Flair showing up on AEW.
Right.
What you see, just doing a promo like he did for 73?
Well, if we left one thing out with the Pac.
Oh, Andrade, which was great until the finish. Where the hell you get a taser?
I know people.
Yeah, I know people places.
But the whole thing was, it was like they did the whole thing where Andrade said he wanted to win by himself. I think that's going to set up for Flair coming in.
Okay, and is that why he attacked Chavo like he did?
Yeah, to get rid of Chavo, replace him with Flair, probably.
Flair's a better mouthpiece, I think.
Another reason I think the Nature Boy will be coming in soon. That whole thing later on with Darby Allin, Sting, and Tully Blanchard.
The Horseman.
Right.
There's Horseman history right there.
Yeah, you already have Tully and Arn there. Nature Boy comes in, yeah.
If you can find grouchy old man Ole, yeah.
Ole, or, since, I don't know.
Is softball over?
Yeah.
Sid? Or even, Barry's one of the producers at WWE.
Or you may even see Mr. Wyndham. Who knows? Is he still...
Barry's with WWE as a producer.
Oh,
he's one of the bookers backstage.
Oh, God. Poor guy.
Who else? Roma?
Oh,
he was a horseman.
Okay.
Malenko's there, but he has Parkinson's.
Yeah. Well, Malenko's an agent. He's not going. Oh.
Kurt Hennig's dead. Benoit's dead. Who else was a horseman for up to years? Luger in a wheelchair.
Right. JJ's still around.
JJ is working for Vince. From what I understand, he's still working for Vince. You know, it would be a nice twist, and I know that they've been playing nice with each other on Twitter as Cornette and Tony Khan.
Yeah. Yeah, and Russell Talk even joked about that. Jim Cornette to AEW confirmed.
Yeah, if he shows up the sky will turn purple and it will rain chocolate pudding. Cornette shows up. Well, stranger things have happened. I've seen Cornette show up on the TV.
Well, they already have sexual chocolate there. Why not?
Well, I've seen stranger things. Remember in the TNA days, Cornette showed up and Russo was still writing there. And so I wonder he didn't try to strangle Russo.
Right.
Or what does he call him? Shit stain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Bro. Come here, bro. But I would love to see a dark side in the ring on Vince Russo. You know it's coming. You know it's coming. And you know who they're going to talk to mostly.
Oh, well, they do that now anyway.
To Cornette?
Oh, God, yeah.
He's like, well, Cornette's more of a
That show is therapy for Cornette. Are you kidding me?
But the whole thing with Cornette, he's a historian. He knows his history. Now, if Heyman wasn't signed, do you think Heyman would have showed up on Dark Side?
Probably.
If the money was right. He's got 2 kids to support.
Yeah.
Which, that man had children. But, between what cook binges. Still, the best thing I agree with you, the best thing in WWE right now is Roman Reigns. Still.
Right.
Even though it's kind of wearing thin a little bit.
Yeah, and for a while it was Bobby Lashley too. But
yeah, well, the Hurt Business was a great faction. They fucked that up.
They did.
Now Cedric's part of the 24/7 crowd.
Yeah.
And Shelton's in catering.
Oh, and did you see who else is part of that crowd?
Jeff Hardy. I was like, Jeff Hardy wants to do a tag team cinematic match.
Jeff Hardy to AEW confirmed.
Yeah, joining his brother.
Yeah.
Are we going to... At least we don't see broken Matt Hardy anymore. Kind of, sort of. We won't see no final deletion matches. Which we got in TNA and WWE. I still like what Michael Cole said before the final deletion matches. Is, I'm sorry for what you're about to see.
Okay, yeah.
I remember that he apologized for that.
Mm-hmm.
Even though it was one of the highest rated shows they ever did for that segment alone.
For the ultimate deletion?
The ultimate deletion between Bray Wyatt and Matt Hardy.
Oh, God, that was the shit.
Oh, speaking of ratings, AEW beat Raw.
They did.
Just not in demographic, but in numbers overall. They did 1.4 mil, where Raw drew maybe 1.35.
It's Wednesday night. You know what that means? No Monday Night Football. We're going to kick your ass again. By God. Stop the damn
The Ravens game coming up and Monday Night Football coming back. How bad is that going to hurt Vince? Do you see the numbers going underneath 1 million?
It's been hurting him anyway.
Do you see the numbers going underneath 1 million?
Oh, yeah, easily.
I remember during the height of the Attitude Era, during the Monday Night Wars, he was drawing 4 fives.
I mean, here's the thing. It's not... There are a lot of wrestling fans who do like the NFL, but there are a lot that do not, and do not like any professional sports other than...
The pro wrestling, yeah.
Right, so those people are going to stay behind.
The hardcores, yeah.
Right.
But, you like football? I like football. And there's a good game on Monday night. I'm going to watch the Monday night game.
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely. I remember...
Excuse me.
Well, I think I joked with... When we had John here with us. Yeah. I joked about... I remember watching a show an episode of Raw the same night as they had the hockey playoffs. And I remember being so bored I turned on to the hockey, and they were in a commercial break. They had a movie. I think it was one of the Fast and Furious movies with The Rock. Yeah. Then they went back to the game, and one of the teams scored, and then during a face-off, they played the Ultimate Warrior theme.
Yeah, you told me about this, yes.
And then they had, and it was like, when they did score a goal, people were doing the Ric Flair chants. And then during a hockey play, during a penalty, which a lot of hockey teams did, it's fairly common, they played the Stone Cold Steve Austin theme.
So you got more wrestling.
Exactly. That's why I said it was like more... I see more wrestling in hockey than I do in actual wrestling, So.
More storytelling in hockey than it is in wrestling.
More violence.
More violence.
Better violence.
Better violence, yeah. Real violence. Mm-hmm. But Vince is going to lose big time with the NFL back in now. I honestly think they're going to dip below 1 million viewers.
He don't give a shit.
No, he has to answer to Universal, NBC Universal.
And Fox.
And
the stockholders.
The stockholders. Fox, he has nothing to worry about because they're still drawing in semi-strong ratings for Friday night. That's Universal. That's NBC. That's Monday night. That was supposed to be their cash cow.
Well, he's not worried, and I'll tell you why. His other benefactors. Mr. Cameraman, get the club. No, not the RC, but Saudi Arabia.
Which he got $500 million for 10 years. He got $1 billion for to put the network on Peacock.
They're going to sell it to Peacock, and they're going to show it in between reruns of Park and Recreation and Saturday Night Live.
And Punky Brewster.
Well, I'd like to see Punky Brewster in something else. But anyway, I digress.
But, like I said, it's... The momentum is on AEW's side right now, and I don't think it's a juggernaut that cannot be slowed.
Even Cornette's admitting that now. And for a while, he always thought AEW was all about the indie-rific bullshit, and
it still is, yeah.
But my concern with that, and I'm already starting to see this, there are AEW wrestlers getting pissed that they're not getting booked enough. I saw a recent story with Brian Cage.
The Melissa Santos video on Twitter, I watched it. She's not in a good mood, and that Cage is being misused.
Right.
You're going to get a lot. Andrade, when he got his match pulled from All Out to Rampage, he was kind of pissed about that too, from what I heard.
Right.
And he's supposed to have some sort of creative freedom, quote unquote.
Well, I heard too. Well, I heard the reason it was pulled. He was saying that
it was legit being held up in traffic.
Exactly. It was. Yeah. It's the border. It's immigration stuff. Yeah.
Plus, he had to do quarantine protocols. That's why.
Right.
He went back to England. But the momentum's on their side. I don't see it slowing down right now. And with Full Gear coming up in 2 months, wow, that could be their next biggest pay-per-view next to All Out right now. And they just the monster just kept getting big. It's like Gremlins. You put water on it.
Right. Well, what's keeping it growing is if they keep it's not a forbidden door anymore. It's a swinging door.
A revolving.
Keep working
door.
Right. They keep working with Impact, with NWA, with Ring of Honor, and New Japan, and all the other little indies, and they keep having that farm system. And Cornette even said that. He said AEW is getting a pipeline to the indie wrestlers now. Well, WWE, the only people they're getting are like
NXT,
their own little recruits in their own performance center.
And from what I heard, that they now own Evolve, so they're using Evolve as a training center now.
Yeah, that's gonna bite them in the ass.
Yeah. I heard yesterday they didn't close down NXT UK, but they shut down everything else about the UK.
What do you mean?
Not NXT UK. I forgot what. Not the offices, but everything else. But the offices in NXT UK. They shut down.
Wow.
Yeah, and which UK is going to be next.
Right.
They already shut down.
They already did their Japanese branches.
Yeah.
Like,
Which Hunter wanted to branch NXT everywhere, make them just training grounds, just to bring people in. And I thought that was a brilliant idea because they were going to do India, and I think China.
Yeah, I'd heard about that. Although, now let me ask you this: when AEW started, they were, I guess because of COVID they can't, but they were in. Didn't they have an agreement with a Chinese company too for a while?
No.
No, it was a Chinese. I'm not talking about the Japanese one. It was actual in China.
I don't recall.
Yeah.
But I remember they were using a lot of students from the Nightmare Factory.
Mm-hmm.
Which, by the way, the brightest spot right now is Lee Evans.
Yeah.
Or even Red Velvet, who I think is from the Nightmare School.
Yeah.
Home cooking. What did Russell Talk would say? I hate to refer to him again, but said NXT's been the developmental for AEW, basically.
Yeah.
Because you see a lot of guys being called to make. Look at Karrion Kross. Look what they're doing to him. Even though I did like the interview segment Monday night with Morrison, where basically he did look like he didn't want to be there, and Morrison was doing his goofy, moist wanted thing, which is the stupidest thing I ever saw in my life.
That and
the squirt guns.
Yeah.
Which, did you see the picture that popped up either on Facebook or Twitter? That
yeah, it had a promo picture from Impact with those two compared to the squirt gun.
Yeah, and they were feuding over when Morrison was the Impact World Champion.
The only way they could make the squirt gun thing look kind of cool or whatever is that they do a thing where they say it's like bleach in it, or if it's like Rick Martel used to have with the
atomizer,
atomizer, something like that, where it, you shoot it in their eyes and you flip the shit out,
It's again marketing to kids like the damn doll. And I heard stories where I told you about this in the last show. There's rumors I'm hearing about what they're going to do with Lily making it a live person.
Right.
Did you hear? I told you it's going to be Scarlet. Well, if you watched NXT and she came out across, she came out like as a mystical type character anyway. That couldn't blend in with this.
God.
Then they could form a tag team after the women's tag title.
It's getting to the point where...
Well, we had that in Impact where Brandy Lauren and Kimberly now the bridesmaids to Sue Young.
Exactly. That's why I don't fucking watch Impact a lot of times, Chris. It's bullshit like that.
Spooky bullshit.
Yep. And I apologize to anyone who is a fan of Impact, like what you like.
All three of us?
Well, no, one of you. But
One of you.
No, actually, I don't dislike Impact. It's just
some of the booking decisions.
The booking decisions and the fact that they can't keep a regular TV channel. I mean,
since they're owned by Anthem, Anthem also owns Access, so they got a company spot right now.
Yeah. But if you own... I don't know. Not every cable company has that channel. That's,
Yeah, I mean, they're drawing maybe... If I remember the numbers correctly, not even 100,000 views.
Right, exactly.
And that's not including when they had Twitch. And
right.
Do you remember when they got banned from Twitch? Did you hear about this story?
Yeah, it's because of the Rob Van Dam stuff.
Three-way,
he was trying to be Val Venus.
That blame isn't on Van Dam. That's on Callis and D'Amore. And because they thought that would be good booking. Not realizing that Twitch was going to ban them for a while for that.
Twitch is, for the most part, it's a video game channel. And they do have other sports on there, too. I've spoken about that on other episodes. I used to watch Korean baseball on there. The Russian hockey leagues, a lot of times they have hockey on there.
You know who has Twitch channels that me and you like? Mia Yim has a Twitch channel because of video games.
Right.
So does Paige, even though they've been telling her she's got to drop it. And she's basically telling them to go fuck themselves.
Right.
Again, the anti-diva, that's why it's on the list. I think they're going to get rid of her. Jessica Havoc has a Twitch channel. Sami Callihan everybody has a Twitch channel now in the wrestling world. Unless you work with WWE because they don't want you to have it anymore. Because you were making money off of it. They weren't making money as a whole. Because, remember, it's like the Borg. They're all assimilated. They're all of hive mind.
Right.
And all the money goes to the company.
It's almost like with wrestling, you're seeing a reversal where you had Vince buy up all the territories. Now it's like the territories are like sprouting back.
Well, I told you this last time. I think they're beating up on the bully.
Yeah.
The bully, they had enough of the bully. Because that's what Vince is. He's a bully. And when he went to war with Crockett in the 80s, it was a good war. Then when Turner bought it out, and then when Bischoff took over and made it the Monday Night War, it was very interesting. Until Vince bought it out. And we all know Vince was secretly funneling money to ECW to keep it afloat. Right. And that's why you saw a lot of when Jerry Lawler showed up, or Jim Cornette showed up, or what was that?
You also had Droz.
Who else showed up there?
Doug Furness.
Who was the German guy that they had? The big muscle-bound steroid freak that was there, who basically stared down Taz.
Yeah, I forgot his name.
It started with an M. I forgot what his name was. Makis or something like that?
Brachus.
Brachus was there. And that's when they did the whole invasion angle in reverse in 97. when they showed up in whenever WWE was in Pennsylvania, where you saw Sandman and Tommy Dreamer sitting at ringside, or one of the greatest Raws we ever saw was the whole Invasion.
Right.
It was in '97, setting up for the Paralegal. But Vince. There's a forbidden door and it has McMahon's chin on it.
I think it's basically Vince is getting old and I think deep down he wants to get out of it. But part of it is like
it's in his family.
Yeah. Part of it is like he feels like he's losing control and he's like, okay, I gotta take over because it's fucking up.
And he's fucking up. He brought in a goddamn con man named Nick Khan, who even got him the Fox in the new Universal deal. Yeah, you're going to be my head. He's basically over Kevin Dunn and John Laurinaitis now.
Yeah.
And over Hunter and Stephanie. Well, what was that thing I sent you? It was like Nick Khan and Vince are in the office. I'm the only one left.
Right. Yeah.
They're firing everybody.
I mean, yeah, you have that, and then you have ass kissers like Laurinaitis and Bruce Pritchard.
Again,
too.
Going back to Punk's pipe bomb, he is right each and every goddamn time.
Well, do we know that for sure, though?
Even back then, yes, he had Laurinaitis there.
Yeah, but, I mean, he's basically Punk. I like Punk, I like his stuff, but he's a bullshitter. Okay? He knows what... He knows how to play the crowd. Yeah, exactly. He knows how to push the buttons. He knows what they want to hear.
But what he said about Vince surrounds himself by glorified yes men, that's true.
Yeah.
Remember the Kiss My Ass Club? I bet you that's a real thing in the office. And I bet she has Vince. I bet she has John Laurinaitis' lip prints right inserted.
Although I gotta admit, I still laugh when I see the Kiss My Ass Club. I gotta admit, I'll give you a story. I don't know if I told you this or not. Well, I mentioned I play fantasy football. Well, when the second incarnation of the XFL came out, a lot of people in our league wanted to do a league based on the XFL. And I was going to be commissioner of that. I was going to give first place trophy and a last place trophy. The first place trophy, since it was an XFL based league, I was going to give a toy NXT championship belt.
Brilliant.
Okay.
Brilliant.
The last place trophy, I did this because I had to change the name of my team. I was going to get a plaque and call it the Vince McMahon Memorial Kiss My Ass Club, and then every last place winner would have their name on it. It would be a picture. I'd get like a picture of like Vince getting, I don't know, William Regal or something like that. Or even like what my actual fantasy football league does. Go to like an adult store and get like a prosthetic ass.
That's one thing we won't see. I hope we won't ever see Tony Khan do is expose his ass on national television, like Vince did.
Yeah.
Oh, going back to the dark tapings, did you hear who was there the entire time and actually helped out with the show? -1. Brody Jr.
Oh, okay.
He was back. Like I said, they're bending over backwards for that kid. God bless them.
Yeah.
God bless them. But like I said, what else you want to cover? Or is that it?
I think that's pretty much
I think we're spent.
Yeah. Well, folks, as Wade Barrett likes to say from NXT, we have some breaking news.
Oh, yeah.
We're happy to have John Lowry with us again, and we're going to do a panel discussion about the latest episode of Dark Side of the Ring, specifically the plane ride from hell.
The big gorilla and the 400-pound gorilla in the room?
Yeah, pretty much.
That's what's flying over the Atlantic?
Yep. Okay, now Chris, have a banana, because I want to hear what John has to say to start things off, because I know once you start, we won't be able to put you back in a fucking box, but go ahead, John. All right.
I'm going to start with Tommy Dreamer. I got respect for all the guy, really I do. Okay? And I understand that he is out to protect, others. But it's not what he's saying, it's how he's saying it. He said too much. If he would just blatantly said he wasn't there, he didn't see that moment, maybe things would have been a little bit better, a little more convenient on him.
Right.
But the fact that he was going out of his way to defend Ric Flair. It's not what he was saying. It was how he was saying.
Like he compared his what happened to his haircut.
Right. It was the tone of it. I mean, it was
the tone in the words.
Yeah.
Poor choice of words.
And you bring up a good point, John, because that was part of my take. It was like, I don't think Tommy or anybody really saw what was going on in the galley. I mean, the closest one was Dustin Rhodes when he went and finally told Ric Flair to come back. You're being a drunk asshole.
Now you got a point there, but here's another kicker. He was too incoherent, probably didn't comprehend that there is a naked man with a robe on.
Yeah.
Probably doing something inappropriate towards women.
Well, he's trying to sing country love songs to us.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was drunk out. I mean, who wasn't drunk out of their gourd? I mean, how many liquor carts did they say?
Three full liquor carts.
Right.
Plus narcotics, probably.
Mm-hmm. H-bombs.
H-bombs, and which you probably heard of back in the day.
Yeah.
That part right there. I mean, they said a lot of times they used them for
women
ribs, but they also used them for women too. And that, Jim Ross made a good point. Yeah, Jim Ross made an excellent point towards the end of that, where he said, luckily that was a private jet. If it was a commercial airlines, they said the FBI would be investigating for all that shit.
Now, here's the thing about the whole H-bomb thing, and we talked about this off air. And we have a mutual friend named Ellie, who worked at probably the world's largest rock club on the East Coast, Hammerjacks. I don't know if you were there. She was roofied one night, and I got to see the after effects of it. It is not pretty, not pretty at all. And this is where she knew who it was. I was there. My fiance at the time was there. Bev was there, and her brothers were there. Her brothers found out who it was. Okay, I was leaving it at that.
Right.
But it was not a pretty sight at all. She had no control of her facilities whatsoever, none. Right. And I could only imagine what they're doing to these girls.
And she's lucky that. Not that happened at all, but she's lucky it wasn't a lot worse that it didn't take her life. That was just it's
one of those. It could be worse, but it could have been better.
Right, definitely.
But what they did to Michael Hayes was wrong.
That was a practical joke. That was just a regular.
But the thing is, you don't dose somebody. It's not.
That part I agree with you.
Wait, hold on. Now the word around the campfire was the scuttlebutt that's been in every shoot interview was Michael Hayes tried to be a dick to Bradshaw, smacked his because he got stitches because he gigged that night. Yeah. So he chopped his forehead.
No, from what you saw on the dark side, you see he knocked him right in the fucking head.
Yeah.
Right. So as that being noted, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
If you had a gash on your forehead, I'll tell you what, if that motherfucker did that shit to me, oh yeah, I'm gonna retaliate. Okay, fair, it was Sean Waltman. Mm-hmm. But, I'll get a bag of somebody respect me enough to...
Hell, compared to other people in that flight, Michael Hayes probably got off light, to tell you the truth.
Or Scott Hall.
Yeah.
Well, every shoot interview don't tell you that Justin Credible dragged him out of the wheelchair because apparently he was H-bombed. But they fired him because apparently his partying habits didn't make par for trips, so they released him. So
Scott?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they say.
Well, there were several heads that rolled after that because Jim Ross was head of talent relations, and it was Scott Hall and Kurt Hennig.
And Jim Ross was let go not too long after that as well. So
now there was conflicting reports on that between Jim Ross and Terry Reynolds saying Vince was on the plane. I was reading, while preparing for the show, Twitter. Jonathan Coachman was on Twitter up and down denying that Vince was on that plane because Coach was on that plane.
Huh.
So you don't know who to believe now. Because he said he was in the back plane. Coach was in the back plane.
Because on the show they said that he and Linda, they were up front. They had their own lunch. And even the airline stewardess said that they were on the plane. And he said that particular plane, its service was used for mostly Phoenix, Arizona sports teams. So for the Suns and I think for the Coyotes in the NHL. And usually where Vince was, that would be like where the coaches or the owners would be, and then they'd have the players behind them.
I've been on various flights on delay, and I never had them say, here's some booze. No, you know, I never.
Well, you didn't pay as much as Vince McMahon probably did either.
And you know what? Who was it? Credible said if they ran out of booze, Flair would just gave a couple $1,000 for more booze.
Like he's known for that.
Yeah.
I mean, there isn't like Ric Flair. If he would have went to 10 bars in one night, he probably spent over $10,000.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, Triple H used to jokingly say that's called nation. So I can buy that. Now, as for the Vince McMahon being on that plane or not, I'm actually convinced that he wasn't on the plane. I mean, if you know Vince McMahon's reputation of how he keeps people in line.
With that voice of his.
Right. So I'm pretty sure he would have came down and started hooting and hollering and giving a raft of shit.
But I believe if someone said that he was like delegating and telling Jim Ross to just do it because he does that with his other guys. So,
Well,
I mean,
Ross was the head of talent relations, so that was his job.
Maybe initiation.
Yeah.
I mean, he was trying to, like, you know, like, they've been stories, you know, work shoots that's been on Raw about how Vince been trying to find ways to get rid of Jim Ross.
right.
But keep bringing him back.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, the whole...
Beating him up in his hometown.
Right.
Oklahoma City.
Or have him present, you know, Diesel and Razor Ramon. I'm talking about Glenn Jacobs, and I keep forgetting the guy's name.
Big Titan. Big
Right,
Titan.
yeah.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that's one of the people, obviously, besides the stewardess I felt bad was for Jim Ross. Now, think of it. If you were in his position, okay, I mean, Chris, you say, yeah, that's his job, but...
It was a no-win. It was a no-win.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, you're tasked with controlling, you know...
Alpha males.
Alpha males that, you know... I mean, it's like Terry Reynolds compared him to like a varsity high school team, and then RVD was like, no, they didn't even act that mature.
No.
So, I mean, you have that. They're drunk. They're on drugs. They're on roids. They're about like 300 pounds and jacked like, you know, gorillas in an American Tourister commercial, okay? And it's like, never mind. I mean, yeah, the sexual assault stuff and all that was cringy and horrible, but, I mean, even if you take that away, the fact you've got to deal with these basically drunken gorillas, you know, fighting, and then...
He agrees.
And then, I mean, when we get to the Brock Lesnar-Kurt Angle thing, and when they fought, and they were like near one of the hatches, and the stewardess luckily said there's no way they could have opened that door that height, but a lot of them, they either remember or may have even been in the AWA when they had that thing with Bashan.
Oh, I can barely remember that. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I mean, okay. The door pressure and all that, because, like, Lesnar, even back then, was, like, nearly
He was a young
300.
kid. He was, like, in his 20s.
But he was still close to 300 pounds.
Yeah.
Right.
Of course, Kurt Hennig, he may look small on television, but he wasn't a big, you know, small guy either.
They said they were both 6'4", which surprised me. I didn't realize they were that close. And,
Yeah.
You know.
But...
All right, well, let me look up the height of Sean Stasiak then, because, yeah, I was binge watching the R&B Nitro.
Right.
Hold on, I'm gonna look into this, Sean.
Or your Wikipedia, real quick.
Like you said, Wikipedia's your friend, even though it's not
But,
always accurate.
Coachman said even with the fight between Lesnar and Hennig, Taker was breaking it up. Taker was
Probably
on
had a
this
few
plane.
guys breaking it up.
Yeah, Taker was on the plane. Did you see the 30-30 on Ric Flair?
I did, yeah.
The director from that talked about that dark side and said even he was surprised Ric Flair did this.
Right.
From what I've been hearing, Ric Flair is a stand-up guy. Very stand-up guy. He's like he's grandfatherly now.
Well, for the most part, yeah, he probably is. But here's the thing: he's also a perv. I mean,
He's like more pipe than a fucking plumber right now.
He's had several divorces. I mean, he even had it in his promos about riding Space Mountain and how many people rode there, you know?
I mean, come on, give anybody, like, let's see, when did Ric Flair start? Somewhere in his early 20s wrestling?
Right.
In the 70s, before the airplane crash.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, he was a made man before and after plane crash. I mean, he was the one that brought territory together. Right. So he has all this money. So now we're getting to late 20s and early 30s. I'll tell you, if you had as much money as he did in his early 30s, tell me you would be a fuckboy.
I would be a fuckboy, but I would be a consensual. You know, I wouldn't rape. I wouldn't feel like I would need to rape or put shit in girls' drinks stuff.
Okay, Rick, I can see where you're going with this, but at the same time, they always say money changes people. I'm not saying that you're full of shit. You're not.
Right.
You're a stand-up guy. If not, I wouldn't be here. Anyways.
A mutual friend of ours named Dutch used to hang around with the wrestlers. He was at Sabatino's and he said, Ric Flair will show his dick to anyone.
No, yeah,
It's
I mean,
no story.
A lot of people have said that, and I get your point as far as money corrupting people, but I mean, you got to draw a line somewhere. I don't know. Me personally, I think that's where I would draw.
The man has two daughters.
Plus,
the man has two daughters.
Hey, that's the motivation to turn a fuckboy into a gentleman. It's like, hey,
yeah.
It's like, okay, what the fuck am I doing with these women? And do I really want a guy to do this to my daughters?
And the thing is, the Car Shield ads have been pulled.
Yeah.
The rumor going around that he was going to show up in AEW and manage Andrade. That's going to be gone.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. Somebody actually mentioned on Twitter, it should be Selina. Selina De La Renta.
Right.
Managing Andrade.
That would be a good...
That would be a good pull, yeah. But I think she's still in NXT, isn't she?
You know what? Now, speaking of the show in general, Dark Side of the Ring, it's like it's either making or breaking a lot of people. I mean, let's be honest. If it wasn't for an episode of Nick Gage, he wouldn't have been on Dynamite. Let's be honest.
Oh,
no. I mean, I respect the guy, regardless if he's using furniture or not. No puns intended.
We've seen matches with the guy. We've seen matches with the guy.
I've seen the man grapple.
Even at RCW. When we actually had rules in Maryland.
Right. Like I said, I've seen the man grapple. I would love to see the guy on TV as a regular. But,
He's used to what Baba calls garbage wrestling.
Right. And AEW took advantage of the thing with Brian Pillman now going on with MJF about his angle.
With the Metheny thing? Yeah.
Right.
Actually, if I'm going to do one on the Flair, I'd like to see one on Reed. I'm sorry. That kid was good. It broke my heart to find out he OD'd.
Who is this now?
Reed Flair.
Yeah.
Reed Flair, okay, yeah.
David's younger brother.
Right.
Well, again, he was pretty good as a preteen.
Like I said, there's so much to unpack after that episode. We touched on a little bit. Which one do you want to go deep in?
Well, let's see. I want to comment on what John was saying about Tommy Dreamer. I mean,
I feel sorry for the guy. I really feel sorry for the guy because he's getting a backlash right now. But
he said too much.
He said too much.
He said too much. Now, the whole thing is, I disagreed with what he said, and I agree with the intent of what he was trying to do. He's trying,
he's protecting the locker room,
right? And
he's old school.
Ric Flair, especially.
He's old school,
right?
But the whole
protect
thing,
the person, protect kayfabe. Yeah. Sorry, Rick.
But no worries. But I mean, it sounded like he was victim shaming, which I don't think he really intended to do. It was just. Like I said, he was defending Ric Flair. But what I wanted to talk about, though, is... Or I'll ask you guys, what do you think? About Impact's reaction to that. Do you think they should have...
I think they did a knee-jerk reaction.
Yeah.
Like I said, I talked to our former guest, Monique.
Right.
She was with Tommy in Nashville. Watching the episode with the boys from the locker room.
Right.
He showed up for work that Saturday morning. They told him to get the fuck out. They told him because, again, you got to answer the sponsors, and sponsors listen to Twitter. They listen to social media. That's revenue.
That's a good point.
That's revenue.
So you think they may have got pressure from their sponsors?
There's pressure from the sponsors and pressure from social media. Because the cancel culture is out there.
I mean, sponsors I could see more than social media. A lot of companies do buckle under that. I think that's overrated myself.
Well, look at Jimmy Havoc in AEW. They got rid of him because of the accusations last year, and that was from social media alone.
And with Jim Cornette as well with NWA, and then, of course, Logano gets caught doing crazy shit.
Oh, and Tommy Dreamer got cut for Busted Open Radio.
I saw that, yeah.
Yeah, and it just... God, he's old school. I mean, who trained him? Johnny Rods?
Right.
Yeah.
Now, he hasn't had any House of Hardcore shows in a while, and I think
this could hurt him also.
Right. Now, they had a show recently.
Might have to sell it like...
I think, didn't he have something to do with booking that? I mean, this was before all this.
He was working backstage with Impact booking also.
You're right.
Did you listen to Cornette?
Yeah, he might have to sell House of Hardcore if that keeps happening.
Yeah.
Did you listen to the Cornette response to Dreamer in the old Backlash?
Yeah, I did.
What did you think of what Cornette said? Brian Last bashed him. Brian Last bashed him.
Oh, I know. Brian Last bashed him. And he thought what Dreamer said was stupid. And one comment he said I thought was interesting, too. He talked about the stewardess's husband, you know.
Oh, yeah.
When she told him what had happened, and then, you know, it's like, her husband was like, well, what'd you do to start? He said, first of all, her husband's a dick. You know, anybody should do that. I mean, he should be wanting to, like, basically kill Ric Flair and ask questions later.
Yeah.
Instead of, you know.
That would have been me or you know?
Yeah, he did say something about that, so that should have been a spare.
Right. Yeah.
Like I said, it's not like it was a poor choice of words. He said too much. Now, if he would have said, it's hard to believe anybody because everybody's a victim.
Right.
Everybody's outraged, which is not far from the truth.
Right.
Because I felt victim. I'm still being part of that fucking shenanigans. Mm-hmm. But tit for tat. Now, here's the thing, though.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's like you can manipulate anybody to think that the perpetrator is the victim. And the ones who are supposed to be the protagonists who put down the dilemma are, the, you know, the antagonists.
Right.
They're the ones that had no right to do whatever. I'm like, okay, well, you let it be known that this victim, quote unquote, is this, that, and the third, is notorious for all these bad things. But just because of the protocol, you thought it was wrong.
Well, in today's climate too, is if a woman cries wolf, you know, and I don't want to offend the accuser. I mean the person doing it, but sometimes it's crying wolf. But this isn't crying wolf at all.
Well, first of all, yeah, nobody really knows for sure. I'm inclined to believe the stewardess, but let me ask you guys this. I don't know if you saw this, either of you saw this or not, but I saw a comment from Hannibal TV. Hannibal Nicholson, the Canadian host and former wrestler and promoter, that sort. He made an interesting point where basically she was under a settlement and the agreement was, you know, basically not to say anything about it. He's wondering if WWE has a right to sue her over that.
That made me wonder about that because when Dreamers talked about the settlement.
Right. I mean, it's...
Well, if it settled, did it settle in court years ago?
Did they apply a gag order?
I don't know, and I'm wondering if there's like a statute of limitations or anything. I mean, none of us in this room are lawyers. I know that.
International, because she is British and she could be living in England.
So hold on, let's think about this for a second. Now back to her husband.
Yeah.
I think the reason why he probably said what he said was probably because he's a mark. Okay, now enough of the asshole. Now for
don't stop, you're on a roll. Hey, total agreement. All right,
okay, I'm just letting
you roll it.
Okay, now I'm not a lawyer, but I'm trying to be one in real life. Anyway.
Yeah, we know this for a fact.
We don't know you say
okay, now, if it's settled in court, everything's said and done, there's no legal thing in process, which I doubt has always been almost 20 fucking years.
Right.
Okay, now, as that being noted, it can only be slander if it's still in court or it's been selling, you know, like say if it's in process right now.
Right.
Okay, they're in recess waiting for a hearing, and she blurred out. Then you might as well say she's flaunting evidence, if she has any.
Yeah.
Or she's flaunting naysay. Again, I mean, this is like, just put it this way, like, if I was going to put my legal stuff in real life, like right now as we speak, on social media, or even on, like, online messenger, you pretty much just let yourself open on, like...
I mean, a lot of cases probably use that as evidence now. That's like, I don't know, leaving a murder note, I guess.
Well, not only that, but it's World Wide Web. Okay, this goes back to, like, celebrities nowadays. Like, this goes as Papa John for, like, you know, using the N-word, blah, 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 blah. Okay?
Or Jessica Havoc for what happened to her.
Right. Now, it's World Wide Web. The Bill of Rights is not... No, the World Wide Web is not protected by the Bill of Rights.
Nope.
No.
So, anything you say...
can be used against you.
Or, you know, say or do, like, if I filmed me, you know, attacking a cat...
Right.
You know, I can get indicted for animal cruelty. I can't say, well, you're invading my privacy, like, motherfucker, you posted on a World Wide Web.
Right.
You know, it's like, if I use my cell phone and say, hey, I want to light this motherfucker up, then that's protected. But, like, say if I went on Messenger and called you and said I want to light somebody up, then they can get my ass.
Yeah.
Idea. But, I agree with him. I agree with him wholeheartedly. But when I was reading the aftermath after watching that episode and reading Twitter and just the bashing of Tommy Dreamer, the way it was unrelenting. Because Twitter's Twitter.
Right, it's knee jerk after knee jerk after knee jerk. It's like seeing like one of those military parades in North Korea, and the way they march and kick. That's what it.
I feel offended.
Twitter's the modern day trash television.
All of social media.
You don't like this guy, but I watch him on Friday nights. I watch Bill Maher. Maher's been going after the cancel culture on his show. He's been going after Twitter on his show and telling them they're a bunch of whiny crybaby bitches.
Yeah.
And I agree wholeheartedly about this. You can't. We came from where we were told as kids, don't tattletale, to now you're snitching on everything.
Well, it's like, don't meet people online. Don't get in cars with strangers. And then, of course, you get a notification from Uber saying, the stranger with a car is ready for you to take you to point A to point B.
Yeah.
Right. I remember seeing a meme where they compared it was like 1968 to then 2018. They said, it had 1968 woman's talking on the phone and says, okay, don't speak too loud. I'm afraid, this line's being wiretapped. Then 2018 says, wiretap. Send me recommendations for Chinese restaurants or something, like using Alexa.
And they're in the grocery store, so speaking from where everybody can hear your conversation.
Right.
Right.
Which drives me up the fucking wall. But, well, what else you want to talk about the whole Dreamer thing? Like I said, I talked to Monique. Monique says Dreamer is not doing interviews at all. He's not going anywhere.
And I got a theory about that, and I'll ask you guys about it. I think part of the reason is...
He lawyered up?
Big time. He might be working up a case against Impact, maybe suing him for unlawful...
Brian Lassie said that Dreamer has daughters. And he said this.
Okay, just because people have offspring doesn't mean they're not going to be assholes. Look at another dark side of the ring with Grizzly Smith. How did he treat his kids?
Yeah, and girls in general, young girls in general.
I see what you guys were saying. It's like, well, how would I feel if it happened to my daughter or my sister or my girlfriend or wife or whatever?
My niece or her kids,
Not everybody.
Murphy's Law. Anything could happen will happen.
Right.
Yeah.
It's bound to happen. The only thing is, we get word about everything, and we think the world's crazier than it actually was. It ain't no different. We just got access to too much shit, unnecessary shit.
Mickey said
and we make a big deal out of nothing.
Right.
Mickey on 98 Rock said it best. Don't try to figure out crazy. It just makes you crazy.
Right.
Hey, if you know what's going on in the White House, it'll drive you ape shit.
Yeah. But you want to talk about the whole Michael Hayes thing? Or you want to cover that?
Like I said...
He is an asshole. We know he's had a record of being an asshole.
But karma goes around, comes around. I'm sorry.
Right.
Every action is a reaction. You act like a fucking dick to a bunch of people.
Look what he did. Look what he said to Mark Henry to his face.
What did he say for our listeners who may not have heard?
He called him, I'm a bigger N-word than you are.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is coming from a guy who was born and raised in D.C. Everybody thinks he's a Southern boy. He was born and raised in D.C.
Who, Hayes?
Hayes. I looked him up on Wikipedia. Born and raised in D.C.
Sounds like he's been hanging around a lot of Klansmen. Not the ones who wear sheets, but the one who wears suits, because they became senators. Anyways.
Yeah. Right. But, again, I don't care who you are or what your position, you don't do shit like that.
Well, and like you said, though, Bradshaw, he has a reputation of being an asshole, too. But he is...
Bully from what I heard.
From what happened on that flight, Bradshaw had every right to...
knock the fuck out of him.
Retaliate or do anything to him.
But X-Pac didn't act alone. He was under the direction of Hall and Nash. And Hall and Nash was the one that probably put the ponytail in the door.
Right.
So, and Hall and Nash are just overgrown kids to begin with. You probably met Kevin Nash.
Let's see.
In your travels.
I almost met Sean Waltman. I don't think I met any members of the clique. The closest to a clique member I met was Marty Jannetty. That's another guy who fucking shot himself in the foot on the internet.
Okay, I'm glad you brought that up. I don't know if you had heard a recent shoot interview with Brutus Beefcake. He said that both he and Shawn Michaels used to roofie a lot of girls as well. That was recently over the weekend after this all came out.
There's just some things, like, if you're going to make a confession, go to a Catholic church, not a fucking website, you idiots.
Website, or go on Dark Side.
Right.
Remember that message I sent you from my friend Will? There's 3 things you don't talk about. The plane ride from hell, the plane ride from hell, and maybe the plane ride from hell.
But I mean, a lot of these guys, like on these shoot interviews, are wrestlers that are complaining that, you know, they didn't get their pay when they were in WWE, or they're broke for some reason, and this is how they're getting money. They're getting Sean Oliver and all these other people to pay them for these shoot interviews.
Remember when I used to get the kids Google VHS tapes, the shoot interviews from like our video and shit like that, and I got the Buddy Landell shoot.
Right.
What was his gimmick and what was his nickname in the 80s?
Nature Boy.
Wasn't he working for Crockett at the same time as Ric Flair?
Part of the time he was, yeah.
Ric Flair was drunk, probably high, running around a hotel, exposing himself. Guess who bought pop for it? Buddy Landell, because he was a blonde guy named Nature Boy. He even said that in the shoot interview. He had to explain to the cops for 3 fucking hours that it wasn't him.
Wow. Well, I remember a story. This wasn't in wrestling, but there's a case of mistaken identity for Adam Jones.
That sounds like a cutthroat spot. Come think about it.
Yeah. I mean, the former Baltimore Oriole outfielder Adam Jones got stopped by customs, beaten only because he was mistaken for Adam Pac-Man Jones, who had several charges against him at the same time.
You mean former TNA Tag Team Champion?
Yeah, him too, yep. You and your Impact.
You know, I've been wanting to ROM hack a fucking Pac-Man game, and then like turn Mrs. Pac-Man to Pac-Man Jones, and then the ghost is in the cops. And you just go around collecting dots.
I remember seeing
that idea.
Yeah. I remember.
No offense, Pac-Man. I don't want no fucking lawsuit papers, alright? It's just a joke. It's a joke, not a dick, so don't take it hard, alright?
Oh, damn!
I actually saw somebody hack a game. They took the Atari game Centipede, and they made a centipede human centipede. And the gun...
Like the movie?
Yep. And the gun was the German scientist from the first movie. He was the one...
Oh, Uno Kier.
Yep.
Uno Kier.
What is this, creepypasta?
Yeah, probably.
Send me that ROM. I want to play it already. You know, any ROM hacks from creepypasta is shit, okay? Oh, hold on. Let me speak about emulations. Yes, I know emulations considered pirating like music and movies. But apparently, a ROM hack, as long as no one profit, is legal. Apparently. So they say. Again, we talked about this a few minutes, not that long ago. We are not lawyers.
We can only play them on TV.
Yeah.
Now, do you want to talk about the fight?
Which one?
The Lesnar-Hennig fight.
Sure, go ahead.
Well, like I said, Hennig, they said on that, Hennig was known for ribs. He was a known prankster. Almost on Owen Hart level. Because Owen Hart said he was the prankster of pranksters.
Right. I mean, I've heard that too. I mean, it was on a Kurt Hennig DVD, WWE.
Yeah.
But I've heard more locker room ribs, of him working for Vince McMahon than he ever did with Ted Turner. I mean, I even looked up for some fucking practical jokes he did in WCW.
Nothing?
Nothing.
So the only clip I ever saw from WCW just recently was the day Rick Rude passed away, and some backstage reporter went and stuck a mic on Kurt Hennig's face. And you don't do that to him after he lost his best friend.
Right.
But
they went to high school together.
Yeah, they brought up into business together.
Yeah, him and
Well, the Road Warriors, I think they were all in the same neighborhood, weren't they?
Yeah, I think they were from Minnesota. Yeah.
Yeah. Even Koloff, I think.
Yeah, he's a Minnesota guy too. Yep.
Yeah, it's Koloff, Rude, and Hennig were all in high school together.
Now, when you do what you do, what he did to Brock Lesnar.
Yeah.
Again, this is Brock Lesnar, the ultimate alpha male. Put the shaving cream, then slap it on top of his head. You don't think you're going to get retribution?
Right. Well, probably. Well, I forget which one of you guys said it, but made a good point about Brock Lesnar, how young he was. They probably thought he was a rookie. It was like a rookie hazing kind of thing. That's
2002. He was 22, 21.
Well, he was 25 when he won the championship. Now it's 2003.
So
and then Randy
24.
Orton, because Randy Orton is young as at 24. Lesnar was 25. When Lesnar left after Mania 20, they put the belt on Randy like a few months later, just so they can kind of
get that taste out of their mouth.
No, get the polish. Kind of erase Lesnar out of history.
Yeah, like they did with New Day outlasting Demolition.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah. The one
Well, I'm pretty sure somebody's going to break Ric Flair's record now. What was he booked 16 times, even though it's only
It's got to be
17?
Cena.
Cena, or I don't know, Flair himself thinks it would be Orton.
Orton, I wouldn't mind.
Yeah.
But what'd you think of the fight, though?
I'm surprised.
Do you think Lesnar was in his right to defend himself?
I think, back on Randy Orton, I'm surprised Culture ain't got on his ass yet. Especially with him, like, shitting in someone's purse or fucking
did you hear when he does the Dirt Sheet Raiders? He shows his dick out to people, to Meltzer and them. And you gotta remember, wasn't he in the military? Wasn't he kicked out of the military for his conduct?
Yeah, he went UA.
Yeah.
Like, deserted status.
Yeah, don't they shoot you for that?
Come on, he was protected, number one, and number two. Yes, I know the Marine Corps. Like, if once you get in your fleet, they'll fuck with you. Fuck with you hard.
Was he
now,
Marine?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, granted, I got lucky. They started cracking down on that kind of behavior. But unfortunately for Randy, was he enlisted like early 2000s?
Yeah.
Yeah, they play fuck games with you. Marines, they know more games than Milton Bradley, and they'll tell you that word for word. Oh no, that's words from my senior drill instructor. Okay. So, like I said, yeah, I fucked with a lot, but then again, like hearing Randy Orton's reputation with the WWE, I can see probably why he got fucked with, and I don't mean that as disrespect.
I'm thinking about this. Wasn't Shelton in that locker room at that time? And him and Brock were very tight. Brock, he could have held. He was probably one of the people trying to hold Brock back.
Probably.
Wait a minute, Team Angle didn't get assembled till like.
Was Kurt in the locker room at 2002?
He could have been, yeah.
Split?
It was after ECW, so it's possible because they brought Taz before. Yeah.
That's why Dreamer was in the flight.
Yeah, because when ECW was still around and they brought Taz to WWE, he was the mystery opponent for Kurt Angle.
Yeah,
if you remember.
beat Kurt Angle.
Plane ride was May. It was like May 2002.
Yep.
And then, like a couple weeks later, they became from World Wrestling Federation to World Wrestling Entertainment.
Yeah.
Right. Cornette even joked about that. He said, "Yeah, literally, they told several guys to get the fuck out after that."
Yeah.
F out. But
going through that I want to say airlock through the emergency door. I've heard stories about it. You've heard stories about it. You've heard stories about it.
The Man Dog Masson incident. Yeah.
Yeah, and who was going to go through the door first? Was it going to be Lesnar or Hennig?
Well, they said the point. Well, they said, Chris. They said nobody. They said the door wouldn't be open, but they said what they were more concerned about is it was near the fuselage of the plane.
Yeah.
They were, and like I said, there were guys that had either heard about stories with Mad Dog Hassan or were in the AEWA, or you have Ric Flair who actually was in a plane crash.
Yeah.
So probably a lot of those guys.
You're probably having flashbacks.
Yeah, a lot of those guys are probably nervous flying and probably drinking to self-medicate too. So.
Well, going back to that, remember what Mike Chioda said? He said he wore sunglasses on so nobody could tell he was asleep. Terry Reynolds, same thing. What got me is what Terry Reynolds said was about the no-sell.
Right.
That bothered me a lot.
I agree with you there, but I had also heard that in several...
I think she was getting weed out because of, Dustin.
Yeah.
Well, then again, Vince never cared for the Rhodes. He never did. I mean, he put polka dots on Dusty. He made,
Cody into Mr. Sinister.
Yeah.
Oh, worse yet, what he did to Dustin.
Goldust with that stuttering thing.
Yeah.
That too.
Yeah.
I mean, that probably was punishment to the play ride.
The whole Goldust turning into, Marilyn Manson type with Luna.
And then have him in that backlot brawl with Roddy Piper.
Yeah.
I suppose they couldn't get OJ.
Yeah.
But
that was supposed to be Ramon and Goldust, not Piper. Apparently, Ramon got
suspended. It started with that. I don't even worry about that.
It's going to be blasted on social media.
Yeah.
Well, I'll even go back to Jessica Havoc, how the old tweets come back to haunt you.
Oh, yeah.
Old tweets come back to haunt you, and when you see this, it's like, Dreamer's doing an apology tour. I wonder if Flair hasn't come out and said something yet.
It could be same thing with what we mentioned about Dreamer. He could be getting
lawyering up, yeah.
Because he's got that to deal with. He also has to deal with Car Shield, with them canceling him and all now.
They're on pause. That's what I heard. And from what Impact said, Dreamer's on suspension, definitely not fired. So they might bring him back when the heat dies down.
But I mean, you brought up a good point though with Reynolds when she was saying don't sell. I had heard that on another interview for a totally different context. Paul Heyman said that when Freddie Blassie was driving like a maniac, taking him home, and he said, "I remember other wrestlers telling me don't sell a rib," and that's part of what happened with there. But I think it goes deeper because it's women and sexual assault. Because you had the stewardess basically saying the same thing that her company is like, "Okay, look, WWF pays us a lot of money, shut up, keep the noise down,
Something tells me that what's going to happen is
Flair's going to be affected somehow.
Well, Flair is probably had a foot in the grave, number one.
He's 73 now?
Yeah, he's almost, he's in.
And he just had a bout with death.
Not only that, but he when they do find a case on his ass, and they do be able to have all this evidence to convict this man.
You're going to be like Snuka?
Yes, exactly what I was going with.
Yeah, you're going to be like Snuka. Snuka never served jail time for that woman.
He was too senile, and by the time they had a verdict, he was already dead.
Yeah.
And on top of that, even if they don't find him criminally, they might find him basically like a judicious. As far as lawsuits, the man's already had money problems. He's going to probably have more of them because of this and all of his medical issues too. That's probably why he took his damn car shield kick. And so it's like
for Eli Drake.
Yeah, and hitting Peter Avalon for his saying he liked the spreadsheet. But anyway, no. But the whole thing with Flair, yeah, he's.
Are they going to, since Flair's not in the company anymore, and this may put a bad light on WWE again? Do you think they'll take it out on Charlotte?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, then again, look at what's it? Was it Jimmy or Jay that got the Dewey?
Oh.
Come on, it was like a month ago.
It was Jimmy and Jimmy you didn't see for a while.
Well, but it's they didn't really punish him, but they did punish the one he's dating. Who was it again?
Not Naomi.
Oh, those two are not together anymore?
Oh, they're together. Matter of fact, they're bringing her back, and I think they're going to turn her heel and be with the Bullseye.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
But,
don't punish somebody. Look what they did to Owen Hart when after the Montreal.
Right.
Oh yeah, Blue Blazer.
Right.
The whole look what they did to Hunter after the curtain call.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
They'll take it out, or they'll take. I almost guarantee if we see the last name on the Raw that's being taped, I'll be surprised. They'll probably make her drop the Flair name.
And that's a good point, and that's almost WWE's MO anyway. They've been doing that lately with wrestlers, not for a different context. They just want to, instead of Matt Riddle, they just want to call him Riddle.
He is a Riddle.
Riddle is probably an enigma. That's for damn sure.
Joe Henning, for example.
Oh, Curtis Axel. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, before that, here's one thing. This is what irked me. They gave him the ring name. Was it Michael McGillicuddy, some shit like that?
Yeah.
But they still acknowledge him as the son of Mr. Perfect. I'm like, well, what's the point of giving him a goddamn ring name? Everyone knows he's Joe Henning.
Well, they did that recently with NXT with Rick Steiner.
And Brown, and from what I heard, Steiner, Scott have been banned, being mentioned, even though I was watching NXT last week, and they said, they call him dog-faced gremlin mentality.
Yeah, I was going to, now, refresh my memory, guys, on that. I was wondering about that. Why are the Steiners banned?
Well, Scott. Scott is Scott.
I'm surprised censoring got his ass. Especially his promos back in WCW.
He's a dark side in himself.
He's an entire season. What the fuck are you talking about?
Well, I know he had those threats against Hulk Hogan and all that kind of stuff, but...
Well, did you hear what the next dark side's going to be? Chris Kanyon.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah.
That was kind of funny. I was watching that, which pay-per-view was it? The Slamboree?
Yeah.
That triple, that 3-story cage?
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God, that was the same venue where Owen died. Russo.
Yeah.
Don't get wrong.
Russo's what does Cornette call him? Shit stain?
Yep.
He's a shit stain.
Okay. It's like Russo is not your typical storyline booker. He tried to make things a little relevant all the time. I'll give Vince Russo that.
Bro.
But he has a chip on his shoulder.
Big time.
Alright? Because he managed to save the WWF from going under was WCW.
With the Attitude Era.
Right. So, I know he went to WCW to prove he could have the same touch with WCW, but what he failed to realize is different house, different rules.
No.
Okay, I even learned this being here. because how Jim Christian may run his business is a lot different than
That's
Dan
right.
McDevitt.
You work for EWA for a while.
Yeah, because WCW had standards and practices and WWE didn't.
Here's the thing. This is
Well,
what's been
it's no
told
different here. Like I said, Jim Christian has his. Dan McDevitt has his.
Right.
I mean, don't get me wrong.
Jimmy Dream has his.
Right. Yeah, Jimmy Dream.
Yeah.
I mean, like, it all works their way, but I'm pretty sure, like, say I accomplish a lot here, it's going to be a lot different because...
What did Jerry Lawler always say? You're nowhere unless you're here.
Yeah.
In the WWF. What you were saying about that with Russo. Russo had oversight, though. He had Vince on his shoulder. WCW, he had nobody. He was in charge.
And also WCW, a lot of their wrestlers had creative control. I mean, Hulk Hogan, every other match, he's like, "This doesn't work for me, brother."
Well,
you know?
the famous shoot promo by Russo and Hogan.
Yeah,
From
like,
WCW.
and apparently, what was it, Horace walked out, Bischoff walked out. Okay, but Bischoff had an idea, is, okay, he's going to leave after Bash at the Beach. All right, they use the other WCW title. Hogan's going to come back in 6 months, and then it's supposed to be the, Battle of the Champions. I'm guessing that was supposed to be for Starrcade, which, come to think about it, was pretty interesting. Now, don't get me wrong, Bischoff can come right up to good stuff himself. Now,
He was creative. I mean, he was creative.
Right.
well, like during like the last days of WCW before the buyout, it was starting to get good. I mean, I agree with my cousin on this. It was starting to get really good again, but it was too late.
Right.
AOL wanted to do away with WCW. They have full control of Turner's network. So the biggest mistake Turner ever did was merging with AOL.
And Time Warner.
That too. So as that being noted, Bischoff had the right idea. And one more thing I'm going to add to that WCW. If they would have done the Cruiserweight Tag Team Division sooner rather than later, I think they could have had a good fight.
And remember, AJ Styles was there before he went to TNA.
Yeah. What was it?
He was Air Raid crash. I think.
Air Raid. Yeah,
Air Raid.
Yeah, he was Air Styles. And then,
Air Styles. But going back to the dark side,
that should be a dark side itself.
What,
Yeah.
the WCW Last Days?
That would probably be a good
Starting what led to April 10th, because there was a lot of leaks. So I'm like, even ECW had it on its hotline,
Right.
and it's like I was like changing on Nitro. And it's like, yes, they're all dwelling on Bischoff and Russo, and then they realized it was a shit show, and they didn't.
Well, the whole thing where Sid, was it Sid? What Russo says? Was it Russo or Bischoff said? What, you don't have any scissors?
Oh yeah,
The whole Arn Anderson fight. Now, it's going to be interesting. I know Arn has a podcast. Now everybody has a podcast. It's a wonder Tully doesn't have a podcast. I would like to hear
I'm
Arn.
surprised he hadn't been indicted on freaking Cancer Culture. He's
He's the ultra Christian preacher boy now.
Yeah, but back then he was against Ron Simmons winning that title.
Yeah,
Because you got to remember that man was racist as anybody.
Well, that's the thing. I mean,
And they went on to
unfortunately,
his daughter for one.
and I don't want to pigeonhole all Christians into this, but there are a lot of Christian fundamentalists. The reason they're that way is because they were really shitty people and they're trying to redeem themselves. And that might be the case with Blanchard.
Well, Blanchard, DiBiase, and Sting. Remember Sting?
Oh, no,
and even Michaels.
Yeah.
Okay, this is the way I look at it. Just because I go to a club surrounded by Satanists doesn't make me a bad person. Like, you going to church every Sunday don't make you a good person.
Right.
There's good people anywhere. There's one in every crowd.
True.
Cut and dry. I'm going to leave it at that. Because, just because you go to church doesn't make you a good person.
No.
And just because you're a pastor doesn't make you a better one.
Nope.
Hey, remember the Pope?
Yeah.
Yes, they have. This was a lot of unpacking to do. The next Dark Side's going to probably just be a sad one.
Right.
Because of Canyon. Didn't he die of suicide?
Yeah. The thing is, I never knew he was gay until a year after he died.
And he was one of the guys who did the testimonials about 9/11 after on that Thursday night show, because he had friends he's from Jersey, and he had friends who died there, and he had relatives who were firefighters.
Yep.
Yeah, and
actually, Canyon was one hell of a performer. I mean, the guy.
him and DDP together were great.
Well, just Canyon in general,
Who better than Canyon?
Nobody. It's like he had a good run doing the invasion angle. I don't know why they didn't keep him. I mean, he did a cameo with him singing Boy George. Before he got a last ride by the Undertaker.
Remember, it's Vince being Vince and Vince.
He was being petty because he beat WCW, and this is his way
Here's
of
the
getting
thing
it over.
about the whole Vince thing. Well, right now, he probably forgot about this already because he's almost 80 years old and not remembering shit that well.
Well, he'll get plenty of reminders, especially if he gets a little, some lawsuits his way. But
How many times has he lost in court?
Let's see, the rights to 3 initials. It's kind of funny. He owns the rights to every wrestling promotion except for his own.
right.
I think he lost maybe out of almost 200 cases, maybe twice.
The only one I remember was Jesse Ventura. But
That was a Jesse Ventura and probably against the World Wildlife Fund. That's it.
oh yeah,
He beat the government. I'll even
That
say
was a
this.
fluke. I'm sorry, that was a fluke because Nails made it clear he didn't like the guy.
Right.
And right there, that dropped everything.
Well, even Brian Last said something about when Dreamer said what he said. What Stephanie said about comparing 9/11 to the government coming after Vince. Yeah. Yeah, and I used to have a crush on Stephanie McMahon. Not anymore after
out
that.
of touch much.
Yeah, that's back then. That's out of back
Right.
then. But after she made those comments, I was like, I don't know you anymore.
Well, I gotta say anything to play face. I mean, like,
You can't. In this culture nowadays, it's so easily to be a fit. Everybody's super sensitive, and everybody's so.
that's why you can't have a shot at title anymore. You gotta have a title match.
Yeah.
Because shot is representing the gun. But then again, it's not just the cancer culture.
What was that list I read off the last time I was here?
Yeah, he added words you can't use in
Yeah, and so
Can't say
what
how
is
fast.
actually wrestling?
wrestling.
Sports
You
entertainment.
can't say WWE.
You can't say.
Can't say title.
Can't say title. You can't say this.
Yeah,
It's
that's
all
championship.
edicts from Vince himself.
Yeah, it's like you gotta say championship, not title.
Yeah, or a strap.
Oh, we still use that old knackler?
Yeah.
Okay, like I said, I mean, like,
That's why right now I can't wait for this week. I can't wait for the upcoming Rampage and upcoming Dynamite because it's going to blow everyone away.
Right. By the time our next episode after this rolls around, folks, yeah, he's referring to the Grand Slam in AEW, and there's plenty of good things we can talk about with that company. But I wanted to set this for the. This is the ugly McMahon in the room, okay?
well,
Is there a
really
pretty McMahon in the room?
Right.
it's not just the ugly McMahon. It's like people that are just as ugly as he is.
He's
down
ugly
his-
on the inside.
But what I'm trying to say
He's
is,
a megalomaniac,
and he's surrounded by him.
narcissist.
Not only that, but he's surrounded by people who are just as bad as he is.
Surrounded by yes men.
Exactly.
No,
Punk
Kevin
was
Dunn,
right. Punk
Johnny
was right.
Laurinaitis, and Love, yeah. But anyway.
And Punk was writing a pipe bomb 10 years ago about him.
yeah. Well, then again,
It's Punk.
Yeah.
Punk. And even you said Punk knows how to play the crowd. So,
Right.
but if the plane ride from hell happened when Punk was on there, it would have been a different story because Punk would have just raised holy hell.
Right.
To the point where even just before the time of social media, he would have made it known. He would have made it known in the mainstream.
A lot of these legendary wrestlers, I mean, they are probably thanking God that they didn't have social media or cell phones or anything like they did. Roddy Piper and Ric Flair would not have had jobs, if they would have had the stuff in the
Hulk
80s like they
Hogan.
have now.
Hulk Hogan, the shit I've heard.
shit, I heard he brought like a bunch of gay guys to his house so they can fuck his wife and he'll fuck them right
Who,
gone.
Hogan?
Yeah, this apparently like in his book. This is the story. I haven't read it myself,
Right.
so I don't want to hear no backlash on this. But this is scuttlebutt or rumor, if you will,
Right.
is that he would brought some AC/DC folks.
Right.
The gang bang his wife, and then he'll turn around and join in on the fun and probably join in on them.
This is the man who obsesses on his own daughter.
Well, he's probably saying his prayers and taking vitamins, probably blue.
Married a young blonde chick that looked almost like her.
Well, people do that, though. I mean, Chris, I keep saying we got to watch that movie about You Can't Kill David Arquette. You look at his current wife compared to Courtney Cox. His new wife kind of looks like Courtney's younger sister. I mean,
Yeah. We,
happens.
the void.
we might have to bring this man over for that.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
David Arquette.
Former WCW World Champion.
For a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
Right.
Shut up!
I mean, like, don't get me wrong, he played the role well. I mean, like, they glorified him too much, but, like,
right.
he
He's
took good
trying to
bumps.
legitimize.
No, he told good stories, he took good bumps, but I think they exaggerated a little too much.
Well, he's wrestling. Is he still wrestling now?
Yeah.
Every now and then with indies, yeah.
And he did bar wrestling again. He showed me the bar wrestling against Jungle Boy, which was really good, as a matter of fact. And then he did that match with Nick Gage.
Right.
Which, I always say, you don't have a match with Nick Gage. You survive a match with Nick Gage.
Well, you know what? Back on David Arquette, I would say is, like, he's going back at it. God bless him for it. I wish things work out for him.
Yeah.
So I don't want to think I'm just burying him altogether, because I'm not going to bury him completely. I mean,
Right.
if I had an opportunity to do it again, I'd do it again. But
Yeah, well, I mean, maybe you should watch this movie with us, John, because that was one thing he wanted to do. He wanted to take it seriously. He was like, he kept saying throughout that, it's like,
he's a big fan.
yeah, and he's like, I didn't want to disrespect anyone or anything like that. So he actually went to DDP, who sent him to Mexico to get trained by luchadors, and then he started doing
awesome, by the way.
Right, and
because they're the best teachers in the world, I think.
yeah, I don't want to
well,
spoil
if
too
you
much
can
of the
understand the
movie,
language, I mean, I'm not sure if there's some.
Or would you rather go to a New Japan JoJo and just learn how to hit hard?
No, I'd rather go Lucha Libre. I mean, there was a couple guys I know that would take bookings to Puerto Rico, and like those guys, they look stiff as shit. Like I'll see them in the ring, and it's like, okay, they throw me in the corner. I'm like, this motherfucker's going to kill me.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
It felt like a pillow, and I'm like, show me your witchcraft.
Well, like I say, you've been trained as a pro wrestler. You've been in the ring. Is it as bad as the training as I hear it is?
Depends where you go.
Well, I heard remember when we went to see Ruckus outdoors?
Okay.
Okay, I'm letting you know right now. I've trained probably in 4 different places. 3 that's considered deemed. I'm not going to name.
AWA, Bromebreaker.
Well, I'm not.
I'm
not going to say no names. But I'm going to give you experience of places I've been. Okay, like the one place is like, it's one of your take your money promotions. And a lot of them are like that. Alright, however, like one of them would like line you up and just tell you to take back bumps, like short tackle, blah, blah, blah. Wherever they felt like it. Basically, they didn't know how to work a match. They didn't know how to draw, they didn't know how to work the crowd. They were just taught
ABC.
No, GYSI. Get your shit in. All right. Now, don't get me wrong. There's guys over there that knew what they were doing, but the others, it was like they felt like what they do in the ring, it was like a lot more than they needed to. It's more of a, it's more to play in the crowd because like you can do anything, give a personality. I mean, like how many times have we seen Hogan block a punch, grab someone, and like get the crowd worked up?
Do the 3 punches in the leg drop?
Right, that, or like Macho Man did the same thing. I mean, like, it don't take a whole lot to, like, you can hype up, like, Shawn Michaels would hype up a flying elbow, or hype, like, Luger.
The kick.
Right. Once I, caught on, like, less is more, it's like, okay, unfortunately, I couldn't do it there, and I went somewhere else, and I had, like, one of the veterans, if you will, told me, like, the only thing you're allowed to work is the arm and leg. And that's what I did. It's like, I'm sitting there in the ring like, I can't believe I'm this creative on it. And then, of course, I ran into one guy, God bless his soul, I ain't going to say his name because, well, I'll just say some, appreciate his contribution in the world. Others, not so much. But then again, that's the entire fucking roster.
Right.
I mean, there's people...
It's any roster.
Or anybody in general has some hot,
Somebody's got heat somewhere,
Well, anyway, like this guy, probably the less painful way I ever learned is like just the way he explained the shit. Like explaining how to be a good heel. Or how to be larger in life. Like how to do this. And like how simple and how, like, mind-blowing it was. It's like, the only thing you'll learn in the ring is how to get your ass whooped.
Right.
It's like, if you whip someone's ass, it's like, good, you whip their ass, but the question is, do the fans care?
Well, and now let me ask you this, John. You made a good point. I've heard this in other interviews too. As far as they were saying, like people were doing too much as far as in-ring stuff. Could be a case of not only less is more, but also to protect your body a little bit too.
That too. But like, I mean, like the reason why like NAA, like even till this day, I mean, like a lot of people are like so into like the high spots and
like AEW doing the boom 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 boom.
You know, like doing like 3 or 4 like front flips before you do the 450 splash. Mm-hmm. I mean, like it looks cool on TV. It's like great for highlights.
Dan Lambert said just recently on AEW, watching guys dive from the building, top of the building, go through a table, you're still kicking at it too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, like, because he brought up, like, you know, his story about his heyday. He's like, okay, have you heard what the fans did when you put out a table? He goes, yeah, it was a big pop. Well, guess what? I've seen somebody put in 2 tables, and he had the same pop. Who worked hard for that pop? You or him? And it's like, the guy with 2 tables. Mm. So it's like... And when he said that, I'm like, okay, I get this.
And like you were alluding to with the NWA, I'm a fan of that too. And what I like about things,
or Deep South Wrestling.
Yeah, a lot of it's ground based. I mean, you still do have some hype, but not nearly as many as like AEW or New Japan or any of the Mexican.
No, like NAA, AAA, or better yet, Deep South, or anything that involves Bill Watts. Okay, we'll go with the Bill Watts bookings,
right?
Because remember. Bill Watts bookings, you were not allowed on the top turnbuckle. You can't use the top rope.
He did that in WCW when he was there.
Mm-hmm. Right. So it was like there was a top rope band. Okay? Anytime Bill Watts is in, like, has pen and paper, mm-hmm. you are not allowed to use the top ropes for anything. And just like to see the way they worked. And it was still amazing. I mean, like, Sean Stasiak in his heyday, like the psychology was his heart punch.
Right.
So the guy that's like working Stan Stasiak, what they were doing. Working on his hands. So if he wanted to go do a punch, it's going to hurt him more than it's going to hurt you.
Well, another thing, John,
it was good wrestling.
With Bill Watts, one thing he was also big about was protecting finishers. It's like, if you did a DDT in the first match, nobody else would do it after you. You know, or a hard punch, as you mentioned, or whatever a finisher was.
Do you think they're going to have a dark side on Bill Watts?
I think they should.
They should.
I've heard stories about him, too.
I mean, like the guy, like, yes. Then again.
I heard he was a bit of a bully.
Well, yeah, I mean, you know they'll get, if they do, you know they'll get Jake Roberts, because he's always
Jake Roberts and Cornette.
Cornette worked with Bill Watts, so he'd probably say good things about him, actually.
Well, Cornette's very old school and very old school minded.
Well, right. Watts gave him one of his first big breaks, though, too. That's
before they do an episode on, you know, what shit they got on Bill Watts, and yes, I know all the dirt sheet on him. Yeah. But when it comes to the business, this is the reason why this business is going to shit. Why they say wrestling ain't what it used to be.
Kayfabe's gone.
Exactly.
Kayfabe's gone.
Like, even Austin Idol would make, you know, commercials referencing kayfabe. But, okay, now that being noted, like, kayfabe is, like, dead. Okay, fine, Danny,
even,
whatever.
When Austin had Triple H on his podcast, he says, is kayfabe dead? And so he asked Triple H that in his face.
Right.
Sure feels like it. I mean...
Yeah.
I mean, if he's asking that, then that's almost like it's all...
Yeah.
But I'm going to say one thing. If people thought the internet killed kayfabe, they're full of shit. No. The battle of the Monday Night Wars, what killed kayfabe.
I'd say even earlier than that. As soon as Vince McMahon was taking to court to pay...
Steroid scandal.
Not just the steroids, but also with New Jersey, they wanted to charge him like a sports amusement tax, and he said... No, we're like the Harlem Globetrotters. We're not real, you know.
And is that when he did the promo in front of Raw and basically said we're sports entertainment and we're...
No, that was what John was mentioning right after the Bret Hart thing.
Yeah, because I'm going to let you know right now. I mean, yeah, that too.
Yeah.
But you also got to think. Somebody was giving results out on Raw. Like, they had somebody in the inside.
Mm-hmm.
Well, look what Bischoff was doing on Nitro.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like giving up matches, like probably shit on some matches. So... Then again, there's like probably a mole that was probably, you know, building up the Monday Night Wars. And I think there was somebody inside WCW who was trying to kill WCW. Mm-hmm. Now, the theory is that it was Scott Hall and Nash, and of course, Sean Waltman. They all were like, you know what, we're in for the money. Maybe they were sitting there as moles to destroy the company. Mm-hmm. But then again, I'm pretty sure that they sent somebody to the WWF to give out results. Sent it to WCW.
Could be Eddie, could be one of the radicals that came over.
Shit, it could be.
Shane Douglas. Not Shane Douglas. It could have been Eddie. It could have been Dean. It could have been Benoit. It could have been who was or Saturn.
Yeah. Well, one thing.
Or maybe one of the Click members that was probably handing out results to maybe it was like it could have been.
Hey man, I got these results for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, like a lot of people like to lean on the idea it could have been Jim Ross because of his resentment towards McMahon. Others could have been the Click members within passing like, oh hey man, we got this sheet. Oh, and make sure they shit on me, man. I mean,
Could be the same people who talk to Meltzer and Johnson and all of them.
I mean, like, I'm not saying they did it, but it's a theory.
Right.
Theory.
Like Austin.
Right. I mean, it could be anybody.
Right.
So, like I said, we got Click members that's in there. Like either it's half, like 2/5 or 3/5, depending on what day of the week it was. Mm-hmm. That could have been a possibility.
And that makes they had to drink.
A lot of people, feel it was Jim Ross dude's resentment. A lot of people think it could have been
Hogan.
That too. I mean, it could have been anybody. Shit.
No, we were talking in the car on the way here. You think should be the next Dark Side? You said Sandman. Could you imagine one on the Sandman?
Well, yeah.
Could you imagine one on anybody in that locker room?
Hey, yeah, they should do one on all of ECW.
Well, they're going to do one on XPW.
God damn, he beat me to it.
Oh, sorry.
But don't get me wrong. No, don't get me wrong. Now, like every ECW original guy that was part of the Paul Heyman ECW that I got, like
Dudleys
that I met or got acquainted with, they were all awesome.
Right.
Okay, yeah, I could bring up Christian York. Okay, shout out to Christian York. He's a good guy.
I met him. He's cool.
Yeah, I mean,
met him.
Christian York. Yeah. I mean, again, like. What was it, like, when I ran into Just Incredible, I mean, like, the dude blew my mind by, like, how...
Matthews?
Yeah. Like, well, I was, like, saying back to, like, Just Incredible, like, it was mind-blowing how, like, sociable he was. I mean, like, I didn't know what to say, dude, because, like, I had a No Man shirt on in Delaware.
I was surprised to see him on that Dark Side episode. I didn't think he was still with the company at that time.
Right.
Oh, no,
he was probably part of, like, the... Was that? No, I guess that was after the invasion.
This is after the invasion.
But then, yeah, and it was before the WECW.
Now, I know they're going to probably do one in Just Incredible near future, but I'm going to let you know right now, like, he was a cool guy. He was a hell of a guy, like, so sociable, like, I didn't know what to say or how to start a conversation with him. I'm like...
Well, we
kind of
got a Dark Side when we saw Beyond the Mat.
Yeah.
It's
probably the predecessor to Beyond the Mat. Yeah. It's funny, you mentioned as far as ECW, how this was related. Wrestle Talk, I'm surprised you didn't mention this, Chris. They said it was either Wrestle Talk or What Culture. They compared the Flight from Hell of, like, basically an ECW hotel in the air.
Yeah, it was Wrestle Talk, yeah.
Right.
It was Wrestle Talk.
Now, I was saying, you said that I brought up Sandman. Mm-hmm. All right, I'm let you know right now, I did...
On Hack, yeah.
I did meet Sandman for, like, a cup of coffee. He was a cool guy. I remember, like, seeing that match over in Millersville. And he made it clear to the fans that he quit drinking and smoking because he didn't have a cigarette or beer.
Right.
It's not Sandman without a cigarette or beer, right? But, hey, he had to enter Sandman. It's cool. But I'm going to let you know right now. The fact that he didn't have a cigarette or a beer, like, he quit drinking and smoking, I'm like, I don't blame you. And I respect him for it. So if you're going to do a Dark Side of the Ring on Sandman, you better put this in a light note. Let it be known that... He shows sobriety. I may not have seen him recently. I could be wrong.
All right.
But at least put one story on a light note. Okay, the Brian Pillman was Pillman Jr. wrestling. Okay, that's cool.
Right.
But put some of them on a light note.
Well, the one that I'm worried about, is coming, is on the Eliminators. Because Saturn's falling way off the rails, and Cronus was doing porn.
All right.
Yeah, and not good porn from what I heard.
I've seen the porn. Actually, Saturn was doing porn with Nicole Bass. I actually saw... No, it was a porn of Nicole Bass beating the shit out of him.
Well, I'm glad my dinner digested.
Now, going back to Dark Side, if they did anybody...
Wait a minute, she passed away, didn't she?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I shouldn't speak ill of the deceased.
Yeah.
So
all that original locker room, what would it be the one Dark Side would you like to see? That entire locker room back then.
Well, he did XPW, so I got to...
Douglas?
I don't know if Douglas would be that interesting, though, to be honest with you. I mean...
He's a bit of a dick. He is a bit...
I mean, he's pissed off at promoters, but I don't know if that would be...
Yeah.
I mean, usually they want to go more for scandal. I mean, they already did New Jack. Sandman would be good. Sabu would probably be interesting because he could tell stories about his stuff with Japan and all.
Yeah. Oh, they're going to do that FMW episode. You know that, right?
Oh, yeah, that's right. They are going to do that.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'd say specific ends.
Viola?
I'll tell you what I would like to see. I'm wondering if there's more of a story to this. Do you remember that ECW pay-per-view where they were in Dayton, Ohio, and the Dudleys basically went off
Oh, my
everybody?
God. The best promo I ever heard in my life.
Right.
Oh, my. Did you ever see that?
Which one was it?
Was this the one, Dayton, Ohio, where he basically said you're going to take 9 inches of black dick?
Oh, he said all kinds of things. He said, here we have a woman who's teaching her daughter next to her how to suck dick.
Oh, yeah, I saw that one.
Yeah, that's Heat 101. I was there the night before the New York show, before they left for WWE. And the back and forth between the Dudleys and Heyman on stage was beautiful. You were with me, I think.
No, I wasn't there.
No, I got hit with soda cans because the Dudleys were picking them up and throwing them back out.
My favorite part of that one promo in Dayton, though, was when he was going after this big
Fat
dude, and he said, "Come here, come to the ring, you big bald motherfucker." And then Don Callis said, "How did he know his name?"
Wait a minute, you seem slow. Says, you can't go to me, I'll go to you.
All right.
Like I said, Bubba knew how to get heat. Diva knew how to get heat. Gertner was a heat magnet.
Well.
Well,
yeah.
then again, a guy with good heel commentators, like when they had him and Joey Styles working together.
Oh, God, that was
So
great.
it looked like...
Did you like him or Callis and him?
I mean, Callis is good. Don't get me wrong. I'm not
They
going
were
to
two
take nothing
different
away.
types of entertainment, but...
Like, Gertner, like I said, he was a heat sinker that they needed for ECW. Now, Don Callis, he's just
A dick.
a universal heel.
He was a proxy for TNN when they you know the problems they had.
Cyrus the Virus.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's...
Remember, you were with me when Lita did her last show there, and Callis leaned over her after she got beat up by Roadkill Danny Dorn and says, "Tell Vince I said hi."
And also, when it came to Impact, I'm sorry, he did a damn good job before they canned his ass.
Yeah.
Well, he left, on camera, but his contract ran out, and he was going to basically go to AEW anyway.
Oh, like, they should have fought to keep him around. I'm sorry, like, the dude knows what he's doing. I mean,
He was the inventor of the Ultimate X.
Right.
But
Well, let me ask you guys.
I mean, look what he's doing with Kenny Omega.
Right. Let me ask you guys. We'll conclude this because we're running over an hour just on this particular part. As far as any fallout we've been talking about, who's been getting fallout, Vince McMahon. I mean,
he's untouchable. He's untouchable.
Well, that's what they thought about Al Capone.
right.
And they got him on tax evasion.
Like, it don't take much to catch somebody. Like I said, it didn't. They did where they could to get Al Capone, and it wasn't much. Less is more. That's how they got Al Capone. But Vince McMahon, I mean, his contribution to the wrestling business or sports entertainment,
His family in general.
that too.
His dad. You don't forget his dad.
Okay, yes, Vince Senior. Okay, fine. We'll go with McMahon family in general, even though they all have their own kind of sins in their own right. For the most part, I'm pretty sure there's probably one that did their best. I ain't gonna say who. Anywho, okay, let's not forget, Vince McMahon knew how to take pro wrestling to the atmosphere where it is today.
He wouldn't have done it without Hogan.
True.
Wasn't done without Hogan. Couldn't do it without Piper. Savage.
Raiding all the territories for all the different guys, but
Which
especially
he broke
AWA.
every handshake agreement his dad had.
Basically,
Right.
well, I had heard Jim Ross compare the territory owners of the NWA as crime bosses, and now Vince is basically the Godfather.
What was that going back to that dark side? Why wasn't Ric Flair touched? He was a made man. That's a mafia reference,
right.
It was like because he's Ric Flair.
Well, then again, I mean, at that time, then again, it's still like that today.
So why you saw Hogan, because of the racist comments that Hogan made on that video, they kept away from Hogan for a while. Then he came back, and who did he host WrestleMania with this year?
Titus O'Neil.
Titus O'Neil.
Right.
Trying to build private. Here's the thing that drives me nuts. It's like, I'm sorry, it's not just him. There's a lot of folks that are like this, all right? Like, I grew up, of course, we all know where I live.
Yeah.
Right.
So, I'm surrounded by, majority, the body of the body of my neighborhood is heavily invested in hip-hop. Yeah. And they will smite folks
who listen to different.
Well, note that. Well, what is the main body of hip-hop? Okay?
Yeah.
Those individuals. And I would hear, most slanderous remarks towards them. I'm like, how can you say that about somebody over their skin? But you're going to listen to somebody like Tupac, Biggie, 50 Cent, Twister, Bone Thugs and Harmony?
Yeah.
I mean, they're great musicians, don't get me wrong, but how can you smite somebody you don't know from Adam for their appearance, but listen to music with somebody that's similar?
Because it's still tribal culture out there now.
Right.
Still.
Now, back to, no offense to Terry Bollea, I mean, as an in-ring talent, because I know it's all about scandals these days. Yeah. They will forget how much of a storyteller he was.
Well,
we
also live in an ADD society, and people forget him in 2 weeks.
That too, but at the same time, was that phone call. I mean, you're talking about a guy who tag team with Dennis Rodman, who tag team with Mr. T, and they were really good friends.
Yep.
I mean, he even got him a job in WCW.
Yep. Oh, yeah. Remember he showed up in his nightcap. And what you say? Somebody woke up Mr. T.
Yeah, so, I mean, now, how can you use that in vernaculars when you befriended somebody with that skin tone? Like me, as a person, I got a lot of friends that are that way, has that skin tone.
I like how Hogan did that interview on Good Morning America and said he grew up saying that word as a normal day thing.
Well, I mean, you see this not just in wrestling, but it's I remember
in general.
People going to Ravens games, how they would love Ray Lewis, they would love Shannon Sharp, they would love any other African American players, but then they would go out and they would call somebody else the N-word,
It's tribal. It's a tribal thing.
Yeah, I know. It's ridiculous. Dude, think about what you're saying and what you're presenting.
Yeah. Right.
It's like I said, how can you have, like you said, how can you listen to an artist with that skin tone, but some dude that does a 9 to 5 just like you do, and you're going to spite them for their skin?
You said Fallout. The one, like I said earlier, is Charlotte. I'm worried about her. She's Extreme Rules coming up. She's going to be counting lights within 3 seconds.
I agree. I feel sorry for her, but I feel sorry for somebody else because of Ric Flair, though, in all of this.
Who's that?
NWA. They just recently had him in the...
And he did the promo where he actually put Vince McMahon over.
Right. And the day before, they had a pay-per-view celebrating women. How do you think these women feel about the stuff with Tommy Dreamer, about what may not have happened with Flair? I mean, they're kind of
Even go further, Impact just did a bunch of tapings, and they did an all-women special. And, matter of fact, spoiler alert, Kong's getting in the Hall of Fame.
Right.
And this is after the woman announced her retirement. This is a woman who knocked out Bubba the Love Sponge with one punch.
Oh, that whole Haiti incident?
Yeah, the whole Haiti incident. If Flair was in that building and this shit got out, she would have torn him a new ass.
Oh, yeah. Probably verbally and literally.
Literally, yeah. And she don't have no qualms about hitting an old man.
No.
But
I think she.
I worry about the women in there because they got Melissa Santos on color commentary. They got Gia Miller, the backstage girl, doing the ring announcing, and guess who's doing the play-by-play? Veda Scott.
Right.
Who you know.
Yeah, I mean,
hey, speaking of Kong, is she still doing acting?
Is Glow?
She was on Glow, but then I think something happened with her housewives. I forget what it was. They said something about that recently.
I'm sorry, that gimmick of hers on that show. I mean, yeah, okay,
I never
profiling.
I never watched Glow. So.
No, I mean, yes, her gimmick was profiling, but hey, she sold it pretty well.
Well, it's supposed to take place in the 80s, too.
Right.
So.
Right, so, I mean, it shows how, a lot of, if things happened 20 years ago, 15 years ago, they always...
it's a different mindset now. I mean,
it's not just mindset, but they use the cha-ching, different time. Cha-ching, different time.
Well, even going back to Dreamer. Dreamer said it was a different time back then.
Right, it's always that cliche. I mean, it's a different time. Yes, we know it's a different time, but at the same time, it's it's not going to stop them.
Right.
So it's saying it's different time. It's like trying to shoot blanks at a burglar.
Remember what Undertaker said in, Joe Rogan's podcast about the locker room back then to now.
Yeah.
He said guys in the locker room back then had knives and guns. Nowadays, they're playing video games. I'd rather hang out with those guys than the old school guys because they ain't going out partying, they ain't going out drinking, they ain't harming anybody.
Well, the reason those old guys had the knives and the guns, it was, well, sometimes it was against each other, but more so it was because
Crazy
of the
fans.
marks. Yeah, especially the heels. They're, you know.
Well, down Cornette kept on saying about Mid-South down in the Superdome. What was it, Watts? Or Watts or Devon Erickson. And he had to get police escorted out of there because the marks were coming after him.
There's a lot of
Well,
wrestlers like
Piper, for example, like his leather jackets actually had Kevlar.
Yeah.
So they try to stab him, you know.
I remember that, yeah.
Well, they said that was Sergeant Slaughter, too, because he was getting death threats because of
The whole
Iraqi
Iraqi thing,
sympathizer thing.
Yeah, that was supposed to be outdoor event.
That's why he was wearing a camo shirt. He said he had a bulletproof vest under all that.
Well, I heard
What was that, Mania?
that was
7 or 8?
Mania in Los Angeles was going to be where the Raiders used to play. But
Yeah.
I heard there was something about terrorist threats. That's
Yeah,
why
it was
they
supposed to be at
moved
the
it to
Coliseum. They moved it into the sports arena because they.
Staples Center, I think, wasn't it?
No, Staples Center wasn't around. It was the sports arena. It was a small building. Not it wasn't even the Forum where the Lakers and the Kings played.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
But with social media and the internet being what it is, and people are still digging shit up just because they're fucking bored behind a keyboard,
yeah.
you're going to see more shit like this coming.
Well, I agree with what John said earlier, though. Is that it's like it's not real. I don't think it's really a different time. It's just you have more access to stuff now.
I go back to,
And-
like I said, I go back to
Yep.
Jessica Havoc again. You met Havoc, right?
I don't think I
I
might
met Havoc quite a number of times. Nice girl. She did some stupid shit on Twitter back when in her younger days. It got brought up while she was at the PC in the middle of a tryout, and Hunter stopped in the middle and escorted her out of the fucking building. That was a knee jerk.
Yeah.
Right, I mean, like,
And you're going to have a lot of knee jerk reactions, like with Dreamer, and well, I don't know about Flair right now.
all right. So social media, for the big part, has been around for like what, a good
10, 15 years already.
right. I mean, like anybody in this room probably posted some dumb shit. I did.
I did.
I mean, like I bet
I think we all have.
if I went to a performance
I
center,
did
right,
quite a bit today. Actually.
you know, like I made it clear, yes, I'm a Republican on paper, but I don't just agree with all the politicians that are Republican.
Yeah.
But I'd
I'm a
say,
Democrat. I don't agree with everything the Democrats say.
I mean, like, just like, this is before I realized, like, okay, yes, Democrat and Republican are different, but there's a bigger difference between liberals and conservatives. So, once I came to peace with that, I kind of pushed away from it. It's like, okay, can we just try to see if we can, like,
Find a
if I
common
can
ground?
agree with liberals on certain things.
Common ground. A common ground.
Right, exactly. It's like a lot of my posts lately was about common ground. Like, okay, yes, it's not on
You
my.
ain't going to get that.
No, I
You
stepped
ain't
on some
gonna get
toes there. Like, no, I ran into, like, when I went to Georgia.
For your reunion?
Yeah, and one of them was there. And of course, he was cool. Like, I thought we were going to be in a heated conversation. We wasn't. So it was more of a, high-spirited, warm, reunion between him and I. And I just made it clear, like, my intention is like, I'm just posting stuff for common ground. If you don't agree, all I ask you, just comment why you don't agree. And then, we'll take it from there. It don't have to be heated. It don't need to be heated. That's the reason
It's
why...
like these idiots who go after TV shows. If you don't like it, don't watch it.
That's
If you don't like what you're listening on the radio, turn the station.
That was McMahon's speech back in the 90s, during the Attitude Era. Don't like it, don't watch it.
Don't watch it, yeah. The whole Pillman gun thing. Just before internet, the switchboards at USA lit the fuck up.
Right.
Because of that. And you didn't see Pillman pulling a gun anymore, even though he said, I don't need 911 on his
Right.
own.
And
9mm?
they probably got pressure from not only the network wasn't happy, and probably the sponsors, too.
Yeah.
Well, and also the weekend shows, like somebody like emails like, hey, you keep showing me stuff like that, and I'll stop watching Nitro. They even put that on...
John Oliver did a whole thing on his show about the WWE. And, he's a fan. He's a fan. But he doesn't like what he sees and what he hears. Especially when stuff like Darkseid comes out.
Well, it's like, that's another thing, too. It's like, you got the FCC on their asses, sponsors, like Rick was saying, and like, all like,
Well,
I
like
said,
with
the
Impact
FCC
was doing a knee-jerk reaction with Tommy Dreamer because they were probably answering to social media and sponsors.
Well, not only that, but shit got worse after the whole Benoit incident. And also, if you're listening to this right now, I know some of you think that Benoit didn't do it. I respect that. To me, I wasn't there, near were you, near was nobody. So the way I see it, if you feel that he was set up as a murder-suicide, or if you feel that he actually went through with it, I'm going to leave that blank.
Yeah.
There's no need to fight about this, because there's what we know, and there's what we hear. I heard a lot, and still don't know nothing. Okay, now, let's...
I don't know.
Now, as that being noted, we're going to go back 2007. Now, notice, it's starting to clean up a little bit. It got a little more family-friendly. I mean, we had Cheech and Chong getting high on cereal. Okay?
I remember that, yeah. And Snoop and sort of got scented candles around.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah, Kermit the Frog is guest.
Right.
And Jack Swagger getting beat by a Muppet.
Yeah, exactly. So, they were trying to push away from that whole Benoit thing. Because
Vince had a live hand grenade in his lap. He didn't know how to get rid of it.
That plus he had the stupid death angle where supposedly people killed him. He was pretending to be dead. But
and that was before the whole... Yeah. Well, now here's the icing on the cake. All right, now after that Benoit incident, I sort of this is before I went on my second tour in Iraq, and I actually got a magazine, and there was a good amount of pages on the wrestlers who died within the last several years or so.
Right.
On drug abuse, steroid abuse, and yes,
suicide. Yeah.
The list consists of
Mike
Pillman.
Awesome.
Yeah, Mike Olson was on that list. Kurt Hennig. What was it?
Test.
Test was on that list too. Bobby Duncombe Jr. The list going on. It was multiple pages. I'm okay. Celebrities die in Hollywood all the time. I mean, River Phoenix was freaking OD'd on heroin because...
Outside the Viper Room.
Yeah. They actually did an episode on that of Dark Side of the 90s. It's okay, it's we get it. You want to do away with wrestling because you think it's fake, but then again, like Stephanie McMahon said, so you watch movies because it's real?
Can't argue that one.
I mean,
that's the ultimate checkmate.
I remember Roddy Piper used to have a shirt that said frats, and he had a list of
I was thinking about that. Yeah,
and that's when he actually wrote that book, and it's he had a mini angle with it on Impact with Russo, and then when he came to the WWE, and then it was written about it in that one show on
the
HBO.
other person I think is going to get back.
Well, let me finish. After that, though, it was basically, he was saying how wrestling was killing people. He was saying these people were dying because it was occupational hazards and all that. And then he wound up getting shit canned from WWE for that.
Well, remember, CTE is a big thing now, especially with the whole Daphne thing. And they diagnosed Benoit, and they said he had the brain of an 80-year-old Alzheimer's patient.
Right.
And going to even football, Junior Seau, same thing.
Right.
The one person we didn't talk about who might be getting backlash works for AEW, and it's Andrade. Because he's very closely connected to Ric Flair. You think Tony Khan will be that petty?
I hope not. Unless he was complicit with some activity with Flair, which I don't think he was, but
he was very close to Flair. If you see the videos and photos on Twitter,
because it might be his father-in-law.
Yeah,
that's why.
They became cool with each other.
Yeah.
And like I said, the rumors going around that Ric Flair was going to be his manager because they got rid of both Guerreros.
Right.
But
Chavo and Vicky are gone?
Vicky is basically with Nyla Rose, and Chavo I think was there for a cup of coffee.
Yeah, he's I don't know. He has a TV or movie role coming up, doesn't he?
Yeah. Not sure about that. I didn't hear about that.
I saw that either in Wrestle Talk or What Culture.
Chavo, that dude had promise, but he was wrong place, wrong time every time. During the glory days, he was great in WCW.
Was he better than his father?
That's a tough one because all the Guerreros were awesome. Yeah. Right. All of them, even Eddie, everybody.
Even Hector.
Oh, Hector was awesome too. Like I said, everyone.
That's how I got exposed to the Guerreros for the old NWA was Hector.
Right.
Now, like I said, everybody, what do you think Guerrero's? You think Eddie. He was a memorable guy. He was a likable guy.
He was the best character.
He was fun to watch.
Right.
I'm not taking away nothing from Eddie. Okay, yes, he deserved the spotlight he's in, regardless if he's alive or not. Okay? But as for the other Guerreros,
Mondo, Chavo, and Hector.
Yeah. They were legends before he even
Even Gory, they're dead.
Chavo used to do the Gory special, during the dying days of WCW.
Oh, yeah, I remember that, yeah.
And he actually did pretty well, and it worked for him. It was starting to build momentum for Chavo, where you can actually take Chavo a little more seriously. Of course, he had to take a heel run.
I mean, they were like the Harts or the Von Erichs. They were,
or the Samoan, any member of the Samoan family.
Yeah.
Oh, that too. Then again, like a lot, like don't get me wrong, there are some that got a good push. We know The Rock, just to name one of
Roman,
one of
even the Usos right now.
Right. I mean, like, well, okay, we'll go with Rock, Roman, Yokozuna. Technically, he was part of that family.
Umaga.
I'm talking about the ones who got the big belts.
Okay.
Right.
Oh yeah, because Umaga they were getting ready to push.
Right. I mean, like the one who got to that pinnacle, if you will. Now, as that being noted, like a lot of them, I felt got lost in the shuffle. I mean, like there's a lot of them, and they're really good. Okay, they don't do a whole lot, but that goes back to what I was saying earlier in the show: was less is more.
Right.
It's like.
That's why I see a lot of these old shoot interviews about the, especially the flippy flop guys. If you go to WWE, they try to tone back and say less is more,
Right.
which I think is it's good because it leaves them wanting more.
All right. Well. All right, guys. Well, like I said, we're going to wrap things up. Do either you guys have any more comments about the plane ride from hell? And
I think I got everything out.
how about you, Scott?
Same. I mean, like, it's not what's being said, it's how it's being said and what words you're using. Like Tommy, like I said, back to Tommy Dreamer, no disrespect to Tommy Dreamer, and his mindset, but I would say
He's 50 years old.
He said too much, Maybe, just maybe it was poor choice of words that got him in hot water. But if he would have just blatantly say he wasn't there and he can, I didn't see that part. If I saw that, I would probably have a different opinion on Ric Flair, maybe, if you would have said something like that.
Well, he was probably inebriated too, so.
That too. I mean, the only person that could have seen the whole thing in the galley was Dustin.
Of course, he was too far gone.
Right.
Not to mention, he was on his pill days before he kind of got met up with DDP.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
DDP is our savior right now for saving these older guys.
Well, he's done more than that. Matter of fact, have you done an episode on Page yet?
They should.
That would be a good episode.
No, some of you guys.
It'd be a redemption story.
We've talked about Paige with just the general things that he's done with like Scott Hall and Jake Roberts and stuff like that. We haven't gone into detail with it really, I don't think.
He's helping a lot of the older guys who have addiction problems. And this will be a great dark side as a redemption story.
And I think this dark
season
side
finale.
Yeah. So this dark side too, I kind of hope it helps the women in the business though. I feel so bad for them. I'm scared for them, it's like a lot of the stuff is, basically what that stuff is, even though a lot of times they just did it just for drunken pranks, it's date rape, basically.
Okay, yeah. You know what? You want to say one more women's on Dark Side? Okay, bring up Glow, World of Wrestling, Shimmer. Mm-hmm. Okay, ladies in general.
Well, you know who runs Shimmer, don't you? It's Steve Carell's sister.
Well, didn't they have a dark side about Moolah and her?
Yeah, she was pimping out the girls.
Right.
Well, that goes back and forth. I remember
that's why they dropped the Moolah Cup and named it the Women's Battle Royal.
Right.
Or didn't they do Mae Young too?
Mae Young, from our was salt of the earth. So, but these dark sides are. It's hard to explain them. It gives you so much emotion, and it gives you so much to unpack and so much to put in your head. Especially this one. The Chris Kanyon one is going to be interesting. The XPW one, I'm very interested.
Oh yeah, especially when they talk about Messiah.
And the war with ECW, and then they try to start a war with CZW, and knowing that XPW is trying to restart with Rob Black. And I've seen the Twitter backlash on Rob Black about this already, because the older people remember those days.
Yeah.
And FMW, I want to see what Anita has to say to defend himself.
Those will all be interesting stories, I'm sure. All right, guys. Well, listen, thanks for joining for the panel discussion. And, folks, thank you for listening to this enlarged episode of the Grumpy Old Man Wrestling Podcast. We'll talk to you next time.
See ya!
Stay safe and have a nice day. Shit